Chapter 147. Yi Joga returned to Purple Forest Park and began to prepare for the trip to Medicine Refinement Valley. Although the competition would only be held for 3 days, they had to stay for at least 7 days. The things that Mother Qing had prepared were enough to fill up a large carriage to ensure that their eldest miss could live comfortably outside. Yi Joga looked at the large pile of things and couldn't help but sigh. It would be great if she had a storage bag. However, storage bags were too expensive and couldn't be bought in Thunder Country. She had to go to Great Spiritual City. It was said that one needed spirit coins to buy a storage bag, and gold was useless. With her current cultivation, she didn't even need to think about it. Other than daily necessities, Yi Joga also packed the small bronze cauldron and the fat black rat. Ever since the fat black rat returned from the deep pool, it had been sullen. It burrowed into Yi Joga's pocket and continued to pretend to be depressed. Yi Joga felt guilty and decided that he would make it up to the fat black rat in the future. On the day of departure, Yi Yuxuan personally came to send them off. Su Yufeng used the excuse that she wasn't feeling well and did not come out. Although Yi Yuxuan was unhappy with Yi Joga, he treated Yi Rui well. For Yi Rui's sake, he sent 10 guards with a spirit practitioner surnamed Pan to escort them. Yi Joga and the group set off in the morning and arrived at Medicine Refinement Valley at dusk. Medicine Refinement Valley was located on a flat ground between 2 small mountains. The imperial family had specially funded the construction of Medicine Refinement City and assigned people to manage it. Yi Joga looked out the small window of the carriage. He saw a magnificent castle spanning between the mountain ridges. The gray city walls were 300 to 400 feet tall, and as far as the eye could see, there were many tall buildings. Big sister, why did the emperor build this castle here? Yi Rui asked curiously. I heard that behind Medicine Refinement Valley is a third-rank spiritual land filled with all kinds of precious spiritual herbs. That's why he built the castle here. Yi Joga heard this from Bai Songling. Third-rank spiritual lands were extremely rare in Thunder Country, and the imperial family naturally treasured them. Medicine Refinement Valley was rarely open to the public. Only during the alchemy competition would they welcome outsiders. Oh, Yi Rui nodded, not really understanding. The pills she could refine were all very low grade, and did not understand how precious a spiritual land that could be guarded by a city was. Yi Joga wanted to broaden Yi Rui's horizons, so he got off the carriage and held her hand as they walked into the Medicine Refinement Valley. Although it was already dusk, the city was still very lively. The streets were filled with shops selling medicinal ingredients, pill furnaces, and ores. There were also many outsiders who directly spread a piece of cloth on the ground and placed their goods on it. Dear customers, please don't miss this opportunity. The street stalls sold everything, including common spirit herbs, ores, and animal bones. There were even stalls selling stones and tree roots. The streets were crowded with people, many of whom were dressed strangely. It was obvious that they were from other countries. This was the first time Yi Rui had seen such a lively scene. She was so excited that her face turned red. She looked like she was itching to go shopping. Young miss, shall we go to the alchemy tower to settle down first? Team leader Pan asked respectfully. The participants of the alchemy competition were all staying in the alchemy tower, prepared by the Dongfang family. There's no hurry. Yi Joga also wanted to have a good stroll. She and Yi Rui shopped around a few shops and bought some ingredients for concocting pills before heading towards the medicine refining tower. When they passed by an old and shabby shop, Yi Joga's heart suddenly moved, and she couldn't help but stop. Go in. Zishang suddenly spoke. Is there a treasure inside? Yi Joga was a little excited. She knew that this shop was strange. That's right. Moreover, it is a treasure that is very useful to this sovereign. If you don't move, then don't blame this sovereign for personally taking action. Zishang's voice carried a rare urgency. My king, please be more obedient. If Zishang really showed himself here, the entire alchemy city would probably go crazy. Big sister, what's wrong? Yi Rui lifted her head and asked in confusion. Come, let's go in and take a look. Yi Joga pulled Yi Rui into the small shop. Because the shop was too small, team leader Pan and the guards couldn't enter. and could only guard the entrance. The guard was a white-haired skinny old man with a face full of wrinkles. He wore a dirty gray robe, and didn't even lift his eyelids when he saw the guests enter. He continued to nap on the stool. "Which treasure are you talking about?" Yi Jioga opened her spiritual eye, and carefully inspected the shop from top to bottom. The things here were a mess. There wasn't even the slightest bit of spiritual energy. She didn't know which was the treasure. "It's under your feet, the stone used to pad the shelf," Zishang transmitted. Yi Jioga lowered her head, and saw that there was indeed a square gray brick under the shelf. There was a thick layer of dust on top of it. It was as if it had already become one with the shelf. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. "You call this a treasure?" Yi Jioga was speechless. She didn't expect Zishang to have a hobby of collecting bricks. "This isn't an ordinary brick. You wouldn't understand even if I told you. Hurry up and buy it." Zishang's tone was unquestionable. Yi Jioga felt that it was a little difficult. If she bought a brick for no reason, it might arouse the suspicion of the shop owner. At that time, he might treat it as a treasure and raise the price. The most common method was to buy a few good things, and ask the shop owner to buy the brick. However, this shop was really shabby. It seemed like there wasn't anything valuable here. "Big sister, what is this?" Yi Rui pulled out a box of light green beads from a messy pile of miscellaneous items in the corner. Yi Jioga glanced at it and said, "This is a wooden bead. It has a certain effect on wood spiritualists. However, the spirituality inside has already been completely lost." "Is that so? I think it's pretty." Yi Rui held the wooden bead, and looked like she couldn't bear to let it go. Yi Jioga suddenly had an idea. If she bought a brick, it would arouse suspicion. However, if it was a child like Yi Rui, it might not necessarily be the case. After all children have the right to be willful. Yi Jioga was just about to ask Yi Rui to buy a brick for him, when he realized that his body suddenly couldn't move. Why go through so much trouble? Zishang was a little impatient. He directly controlled Yi Jioga's body, and pulled out the brick from under the shelf. He threw it on the table and said coldly, "Name your price." The messy old man slowly opened his droopy eyelids. His muddy old eyes glanced at the gray brick. He stretched out his palm and said slowly, 5,000 taels of silver. Before Yi Jioga could say anything, Yi Rui's eyes widened in shock. "What? You want 5,000 taels of silver for a broken brick?" "No." The old man shook his head and said unhurriedly, "It's not silver, it's gold." Yi Rui opened her mouth and looked at the old man in shock. She then turned to look at Yi Jioga with an expression that said, "You don't really want to buy it?" Yi Jioga knew that this old man would ask for a sky-high price. However, she would be crazy to buy a brick with 5,000 taels of gold. Chapter 148. Zishang subconsciously wanted to kill this greedy old man, but was stopped by Yi Jioga. "Don't do anything stupid." There were so many people watching her come in. If the shop owner suddenly died, wouldn't that be telling everyone that he had something to do with it? You humans are so troublesome. Zishang was annoyed. The demon race would snatch whatever they wanted. Only the hypocritical human race would go around in circles. "Give me back my body if you think it's troublesome," Yi Jioga roared in his mind. A problem that could have been easily solved was now complicated by him. "No." Zishang decisively refused. Yi Jioga almost went crazy, but his consciousness was suppressed by Zishang. He couldn't return to normal no matter what. Yi Rui didn't notice Yi Jioga's abnormality. She rolled her eyes at the old man and said angrily, "I think you've gone crazy thinking about money. Big sister, let's go." With that, she grabbed Yi Jioga's hand. Zishang didn't want to leave without getting the brick. He avoided Yi Rui's hand and stared straight at the old man. "Old man, you have to be honest. You're selling a brick for 5,000 gold taels. Aren't you afraid of choking to death?" "That's not something you need to worry about," the old man slowly replied. He was able to establish himself in Alchemy City because he was ruthless and quick at robbing money. "Is that so?" Yi Jioga squinted his eyes. A purple vertical line appeared in his black pupils, flashing with a demonic light. The old man felt dizzy from this light, and inexplicably felt guilty. He suddenly realized that it was intolerable for him to cheat the customer like this. He quickly stood up and said in fear and trepidation, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been greedy for money. It's just a brick. If you want it, take it. Then I won't be polite. Yi Jioga's red lips curled up, and his eyes returned to normal. Yi Jioga finally regained control of his body. He cursed Zishang's tyranny while reaching for the brick. At this time, Yi Shanshan's voice came from outside. Captain Pan, why are you here? This subordinate greets second young Mississippi. Captain Pan respectfully bowed. This subordinate has been ordered to escort first young Miss and fourth young Miss to Alchemy Valley. Big sister, fourth sister, is it really you? Yi Shanshan, who was wearing a blue dress, walked into the shop. Behind her was a young girl in a gorgeous golden dress. This girl was about 18 or 19 years old. She had fair skin and a beautiful face. She had an arrogant attitude. She looked at Yi Jioga with an unfriendly expression and coldly snorted. You're Shanshan's big sister? Who are you? The corner of Yi Jioga's mouth twitched. Big sister Shanshan. This form of address really made him unhappy. Big sister, this is the third daughter of the Gong family. Yi Shanshan introduced with a little pride. So it's the third miss of the Gong family. Yi Jioga thought of Gong Shifan, who had helped her previously, and forced a smile at the third Mississippi. However, third Miss Gong snorted coldly and turned to Yi Shanshan. Shanshan, is your elder sister very poor, so she can only come to this kind of shabby shop? As he spoke, he glanced disdainfully at the small shop in Yi Jioga and Yi Rui. You are the poor one. Yi Rui found that her beloved big sister was scolded, and immediately retorted back unhappily. Fourth sister, don't be rude. Yi Shanshan reprimanded Yi Rui, and then apologetically said to the girl in the red dress, Miss Gong, my fourth sister was born of a concubine. She has not had a good upbringing since she was young. Please don't bother with her. When Yi Rui heard this, her face was immediately filled with anger. Yi Jioga squeezed her little hand and said slowly, Fourth sister, don't be angry. Your second sister was born of a second concubine, so it is inevitable that her upbringing is a little poor. This time, it was Yi Shanshan's turn to look ugly. Yi Jioga, as the elder sister, how can you slander your own sister like this? You really have no upbringing. Third Miss Gong raised her thin eyebrows and said with a tone full of sarcasm, What does it have to do with you if I teach my own sister a lesson? Or is it that the Gong family's upbringing to be a dog catching mice and meddling in other people's business? Yi Jioga saw that third Miss Gong had clearly come to find trouble with him, so he did not stand on ceremony with her. How dare you insult our Gong family? Third Miss Gong was so angry that her pretty face turned red, as if she had received a great humiliation. Wrong, I didn't insult your Gong family, I only insulted you. Yi Jioga's poisonous tongue could not be stopped by anyone. Big sister, you're wrong. I think it is more suitable for third Miss Gong to humiliate herself. Yi Rui said seriously. Little hussy, you dare to insult me? I will kill you. Third Miss Gong had never been humiliated like this in her life. She waved her hand and slapped Yi Rui's face. Yi Jioga raised his hand and grabbed third Miss Gong's hand. He said coldly, I will let you off this time for the sake of Spirit Master Gong Shifan. If you dare to make a move again, don't blame me for being impolite. You want to use the Gong family to suppress me? You think too highly of yourself. Third Miss Gong's body suddenly emitted a pale green light. It turned into a sharp wind blade and attacked Yi Jioga's chest. Fortunately, Yi Jioga was already prepared. He lifted his leg and kicked third Miss Gong's abdomen. Third Miss Gong screamed and flew out. She lay on the ground in a sorry state. The wind blade did not hit Yi Jioga, but it cut the beam of the shop. The old roof immediately collapsed. Yi Jioga grabbed Yi Rui with one hand, and the old man with the other. He finally rushed out of the house before it completely collapsed. Big Miss, are you okay? Hua Dai and Yu Dai immediately rushed over. Their faces were pale with fear. I am fine. Yi Jioga shook his head. Big sister, you are too much. How can you treat third Miss Gong like this? Yi Shanshan fiercely scolded Yi Jioga. Then she eagerly went to help third Miss Gong. Third Miss Gong stood up in a sorry state. She fiercely shook off Yi Shanshan's hand and said to Yi Jioga, Yi Jioga, how dare you treat me like this? Our Gong family will not let you off. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Don't drag your Gong family into this. Yi Jioga was not afraid of third Miss Gong's threat. No matter how powerful she was in the Gong family, she could not be more respected than the first grandson, Gong Baiyu. As long as Yi Jioga grasped the method to cure Gong Baiyu's eye disease, the Gong family would probably force third Miss Gong to apologize. You. Third Miss Gong's eyes were red. Her hand flashed with green light, and she was about to make a move. Third Miss Gong, you can't. Yi Shanshan hurriedly stopped her and anxiously advised. You can't use force in Alchemy City. Otherwise, you will be disqualified. Although Yi Shanshan wished that she was the only one participating in the alchemy competition, if she did not stop third Miss Gong, the Crown Prince would not let her off. Scram! Third Miss Gong fiercely glared at Yi Shanshan. Yi Shanshan's expression also turned ugly. Although she wanted to curry favor with the Gong family, being scolded by third Miss Gong time and time again made her very angry. She did not want to stop her. Just as third Miss Gong was about to make a move, a familiar voice suddenly sounded. Stop. Chapter 149. Yi Jioga looked up and saw an old acquaintance, the Crown Prince, Dongfang Jianming, hurrying over with a group of guards. Big brother Crown Prince, you came at the right time. Yi Shanshan's spirit was lifted, and she hurriedly complained. Big sister bullied third Miss Gong, and even destroyed her shop. Yi Jioga, do you think this is your Yi mansion? You actually dared to injure someone. The Crown Prince gloomily looked at the restored Yi Jioga. This beautiful face made him hate her even more than before. This isn't your Highness East Palace. Yi Jioga was calm and elegant. The Crown Prince immediately ordered his guards. You're twisting words and forcing logic. Men, arrest this troublemaker. Hua Dai and Yu Dai anxiously stood in front of Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga raised his brows. Your Highness, I'm here to participate in the alchemy competition. Don't you think you're being too arbitrary by arresting me without reason? The facts are clear and conclusive. There's no point in quibbling. The Crown Prince waved his hand. Arrest Yi Jioga. If she dares to resist, then don't be polite with her. Big sister. Yi Rui tightly grabbed Yi Jioga's sleeve with a pale face. Don't be afraid. Although the Crown Prince is muddle-headed, there are still people in the city who understand. Yi Jioga calmly comforted her. Big sister, how dare you say that the Crown Prince is muddle-headed? When I return, I must report this to father and have him punish you. Yi Shanshan wanted to continue framing Yi Jioga, but she was frightened by Yi Jioga's cold eyes. Yi Shanshan, if I were you, I'd shut up or I won't have another chance in the future. Yi Jioga's tone was calm, but Shanshan knew that she wasn't joking. The fear of being beaten came back to her, and she could not help but hide behind the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince angrily said, Yi Jioga, you dare to bully the weak in front of me? It seems that you don't put the imperial family in your eyes. Yi Jioga sneered. If you're not representing the Gong clan, then you're representing the imperial family. Those who don't know would think that the Gong clan has no one left after the death of His Majesty. How dare you? Impudent. Third Miss Gong and the Crown Prince flew into a rage at the same time, wishing they could personally capture Yi Jioga. At this time, the sound of uniform footsteps could be heard from the distance. It turned out to be the patrolling soldiers of Alchemy City. The person in the lead was dressed in black and red robes. His handsome face seemed to have been carved by a knife, and his temperament was incomparably cold. It was Wan Ziang. Look, a reasonable person has come. Yi Jioga smiled. Lord Wan, Yi Jioga robbed and injured people. You can't be thinking of shielding her, right? The Crown Prince said coldly. Yes, Lord Wan, I can testify. Yi Shanshan said while hiding behind the Crown Prince. Wan Ziang coldly looked at the Crown Prince and Yi Shanshan, then turned to ask Yi Jioga. What is going on? Just now, when I accompanied my sister to shop, Miss Gong suddenly rushed in and spoke ill of me. She even destroyed someone else's shop. Before Yi Jioga could finish his words, third Miss Gong had already angrily denied it. I didn't do anything. It was clearly you who wanted to steal my things, so you destroyed someone else's shop. This shop was destroyed by the wind spirit root. Sir Wan, you can send someone to investigate. Yi Jioga said lightly. Investigate. Under Wan Ziang's command, The well-trained soldiers he brought with him began to search the ruins. Very quickly, they found a beam that was cut by the wind spirit root. The cut surface was still faintly green. A tall and skinny soldier came out and reported, "Sir, this shop was indeed destroyed by the wind spirit root. I have the lightning spirit root. May I ask what third Miss Gong's spirit root is?" Yi Jioga looked at the third Miss Gong with malicious intent. Some people wanted to distort the truth and push the blame onto themselves. But they didn't think that they were full of loopholes. "So what if I have the wind spirit root? It's just a broken shop. I'll pay for it. What about the matter of you injuring me?" Third Miss Gong's aura was still very arrogant. Before Yi Jioga could say anything, the surrounding people had already begun to discuss. "This Gong clan is too overbearing. So what if they're from a big clan? That's right. They dare to be so arrogant in our alchemy city. Wouldn't they be overlords in their Baimu city? And that Yi Shanshan, she actually helped an outsider to deal with her own sister. She's really ruthless. The crown prince is also muddle-headed. He was blinded by beauty and actually dared to openly protect a criminal. If he was the host of the alchemy competition, then we wouldn't have to compete anymore." The surrounding people were discussing. Third Miss Gong's face turned red and white. She looked at Yi Jioga, as if she wanted to tear him into pieces. "Don't cause trouble in Alchemy City. Your Highness, you also don't want this matter to reach the Emperor's ears." Wanziang coldly looked at the Crown Prince. This was an alchemy competition. There was absolutely no room for mistakes. Even the Crown Prince didn't dare to act recklessly. The Crown Prince didn't dare to say anything else. He fiercely glared at Yi Jioga, then whispered a few words to Third Miss Gong. Third Miss Gong was obviously unconvinced. However, this was the Dongfang clan's territory. No matter how arrogant she was, she had to give the Crown Prince some face. "Just you wait." Third Miss Gong threw down these harsh words and angrily left. Yi Shanshan hurriedly followed. Her fawning appearance was very disdainful. Shameless. Yi Rui disdainfully looked at Yi Shanshan's back as she left. She simply didn't want to admit that this person was her second sister. "Say less." Yi Jioga patted Yi Rui's shoulder. Arguing with Yi Shanshan in front of outsiders would only make her a laughingstock. He would deal with her when they got back. Yi Rui bit her lips and didn't say anything. At this moment, the dizzy old man finally came back to his senses. Looking at the collapsed store, he immediately screamed, "My store!" Yi Jioga just remembered a very important question. Where was my brick? Big sister. Yi Rui pulled Yi Jioga's sleeve and touched the small embroidered backpack on her back. It was bulging and looked exactly like a brick. So smart. Yi Jioga rewarded her by rubbing her little head. Yi Rui smiled. This was 5,000 taels of gold. Of course, she had to keep it well. "Captain Pan, stay here and help this old man count his things. Pay as much as he should," Yi Jioga instructed Captain Pan. Although this unexpected disaster was caused by Third Miss Gong, Yi Jioga still felt that he should give the old man some compensation for the brick. Yes. Captain Pan nodded respectfully. As a guard, he had failed to stop Third Miss Gong's attack on First Miss Gong. Now, he had to make up for his mistake. "I will send you to the medicine refining building," Wanziang said to Yi Jioga. "I won't delay your business, right?" Yi Jioga looked at the soldiers behind Wanziang. No. Wanziang's status was equivalent to that of an imperial envoy. He could inspect everywhere. "Then let's go." Yi Jioga and Wanziang walked in front. Yi Rui considerately followed behind Hua Dai and Yu Dai, giving Yi Jioga and Wanziang the opportunity to be alone. What is the background of that Third Miss Gong? Seeing that no one was approaching, Yi Jioga asked Wanziang in a low voice. Chapter 150. That third Miss name is Hong Yu, but she's the daughter of a side branch of the Gong clan. She's always been in love with His Highness, so she must have heard some rumors to misunderstand you. Wanziang said. What rumors? Yi Jioga felt that his relationship with the prince was purely doctor-patient. What rumors could there be? For some reason, Wanziang sighed in relief after seeing Yi Jioga's confident attitude. Dongfang Ke had outstanding aptitude, a powerful background, and a handsome appearance. He'd always been the dream lover of the capital's girls. However, Yi Jioga didn't have any improper thoughts about him. It seemed that Dongfang K's plans were destined to fail. What rumors could there be? It's just second sister trying to sow discord, Yi Rui said with a taut face. Do you need my help? Wan Ziang also felt that the second miss had gone too far. It's fine, let her speak. The more she says now, the worse she'll die in the future. Yi Jioga smiled mockingly. Yi Shanshan was so close to the crown prince. She wouldn't even know how she would die in the future. Wan Ziang didn't mind Yi Jioga's business, after seeing that he didn't need his help. Where's Songling? Didn't he say he'd escort you here? Wan Ziang looked around and asked in confusion. I don't know, I've never seen him before. Yi Jioga's journey had been smooth, so he didn't go looking for him. That shouldn't be. Wan Ziang found it strange. With Bai Songling's gossipy personality, he should have rushed out to save the damsel in distress after seeing Hong Yu attack Yi Jioga. It's fine, I don't need his protection anyway. Oh right, have you found Lu Yunfei yet? Yi Jioga was more concerned about the heretical cultivator's activities. Not yet. Wan Ziang shook his head. He was currently in charge of the city's defense, while Yi Yu cooperated in secret. However, they still hadn't found any traces of Lu Yunfei. What about Su Junqing? Yi Jioga asked. He came under the Empress' orders to assist the Crown Prince in the alchemy competition. My people have been watching him, but they haven't found anything strange yet. Wan Ziang said. Keep an eye on them. If they have ulterior motives, they'll show up sooner or later. Yi Jioga said. You don't have to worry about these things. You just have to participate in the alchemy competition. As Wan Ziang spoke, he took out a yellow booklet from his sleeve and handed it to Yi Jioga. This is the name list for the alchemy competition. You can take a look when you have time. This was a benefit that belonged to the Thunder Nation's internal participants. The Crown Prince also had a copy. Thanks. Yi Jioga took it without hesitation. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. If you don't take advantage of the situation, you will be a bastard. Oh, by the way, this year's quota has been cancelled. Everyone will have to start from the first round. I heard that Imperial Uncle Dongfang Yao requested this. Dongfang Yao is Alchemy City's city lord and Emperor Xian Wu's uncle. He was in charge of this year's alchemy competition. Oh, Yi Jioga didn't want to use the quota, so he wasn't disappointed. As the two of them spoke, they arrived at the entrance of the Medicine Refinement Tower. Your rooms are in the Flying Frost Tower to the west of the Alchemy Tower. The Crown Prince is in the Lingyun Tower to the east. Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan are in the Maple Leaf Tower next to him. As long as you don't deliberately go there, you won't run into them. Wan Ziang still hoped that Yi Jioga could bear with it and not cause trouble during the competition. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If the Crown Prince and Gong Hongyu didn't have eyes, they couldn't blame her for being impolite. Wan Ziang knew Yi Jioga's temper very well. When he heard this, he could only smile helplessly. Then he ordered a soldier beside him. Call Aunt Chong over. A moment later, a middle-aged woman dressed in dark red armor walked out of the Medicine Refinement Tower with a warm smile. She bowed to Wan Ziang and said, This subordinate greets Lord Wan. Jioga, this is Aunt Chong in charge of the Medicine Refinement Tower. If you have any problems in the future, you can look for her. Wan Ziang implied that this Aunt Chong was one of his own. This servant greets young lady Yi. Good luck to the young lady. Aunt Chong bowed respectfully to Yi Jioga. Aunt Chong is too polite. Yi Jioga smiled faintly. I still have matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you in. Aunt Chong, take good care of young lady Yi. Wan Ziang gave Aunt Chong a few more instructions before leaving. Next, Aunt Chong personally brought Yi Jioga and the others to Flying Frost House. Along the way, she told them quite a bit about the Medicine Refinement Tower. The Medicine Refinement Tower occupied an area of more than 200 acres. There were a total of 88 small buildings. They were built according to north, south, east, and west around the Medicine Refinement Tower. The Medicine Refinement Tower was the venue for their upcoming competition. Currently, there were 53 alchemists residing in the Medicine Refinement Tower. There were 30 women and 23 men. Most of them were at the first rank. After Aunt Chong brought Yi Jioga and the others to Flying Frost House, she said, If young lady has no other instructions, this subordinate will take her leave. Sorry to trouble you, Aunt Chong. Yi Jioga glanced at Hua Dai. The little girl was very perceptive, and stuffed a pouch into Aunt Chang's hands. Young miss, you're too kind. Aunt Chong declined verbally, but her hands quickly took the pouch with a greedy look on her face. After Yi Jioga had Hua Dai send Aunt Chong out, she began to examine the two-story building made of green bamboo in front of her. The front yard of the building was on the left, while the backyard was on the right. There was a clear distinction between them. However, what Yi Jioga was most satisfied with was the flying frost tree planted in the backyard. The azure leaves shone faintly under the sunlight, and they even carried a faint fragrance. There were 2 servant girls and 2 female servants in the flying frost house. Yi Jioga let you die, Hua Dai, Qing Hu Qing Lu, and the servant girls and female servants live on the first floor. Leader Pan and the guards lived in the outer courtyard. She chose the room facing north on the second floor, and left the room facing south for Yi Rui. Why do you have such a long face? Don't you like it here? Yi Jioga asked Yi Rui. No, I just feel very angry when I think about how second elder sister helped that woman to bully you. Although Yi Rui already knew that second elder sister wasn't a good person, she still felt very upset when she saw it with her own eyes. You saw it too. It's not that easy for them to bully me. Yi Jioga poked Yi Rui's angry little face and said, All right, give me the brick. Yi Rui obediently took out the brick and asked curiously, Big sister, what kind of treasure is this? Why do you have to buy it? Children shouldn't ask so many questions. You've been tired for the whole day. Hurry up and rest, or else you won't have the energy to participate in the competition. Yi Jioga didn't even know what kind of treasure this brick was, so how could he answer Yi Rui's question? Fortunately, Yi Rui wasn't very curious. Since Yi Jioga didn't want to say anything, she didn't continue asking. She turned around and returned to her room. Yi Jioga looked at the gray brick and impatiently called out to Zishang. Hurry up and come out to see your treasure. Chapter 151. Zishang immediately revealed himself. His vertical pupils stared fixedly at the brick, his snake tail wagging non-stop. He didn't even bother to hug Yi Jioga. What kind of treasure is this? This was the first time Yi Jioga saw Zishang so excited. This is a form transformation bead. It disappeared after the demon war. I didn't expect it to be here. Zishang felt that his luck was off the charts. With this, he could completely transform into a human. If the form transformation bead is so precious, why would it be used as a brick to pad a shelf? Yi Jioga found it unbelievable. Who knows? Zishang didn't care about this. He wiped his palm on the brick and sucked out an azure blue bead that emitted a faint fragrance. Yi Jioga was attracted by the fragrance and couldn't help but swallow her saliva. She could feel that this was a good thing and would be very beneficial to her. Don't think about it. It's mine. If it was anything else, Zishang wouldn't mind giving it to her. But this form transformation bead was out of the question. I'm just taking a look. Yi Jioga didn't dare to snatch something from Zishang's mouth. I'm going into seclusion to cultivate. Be careful, and don't get into trouble. Zishang swallowed the form transformation bead and returned to Yi Jioga's imprint. When are you coming out? Yi Jioga hurriedly asked. Unfortunately, Zishang didn't respond. It seemed like he was in deep sleep. F*CK. It's like this every time. Big sister curses you for failing to transform. Yi Jioga cursed inwardly. Following that, she had dinner and took care of some miscellaneous matters before returning to her room to flip through the yellow booklet Wan Ziang gave her. There was a detailed introduction of each contestant's situation, and even the address of their medicine refining tower was recorded. This batch of contestants, including her and Yi Shanshan, had a total of 6 second-rank pill refiners. Apart from Gong Hongyu from Baimu City, the names of the others were unfamiliar. She skimmed through the booklet and sat cross-legged on the bed to cultivate the manifestation technique. Ever since she collected the white bone fire, her cultivation speed was extremely fast. Even if she didn't cultivate her spiritual power, she could still circulate it slowly. However, the most impressive thing was her divine sense. In the past, it could only envelop a room at most. Now it could extend outwards. She slowly released her divine sense to the next room, and clearly saw Yi Rui sleeping soundly. Just as she was about to continue training her divine sense, suddenly, something with the smell of blood swept past her small building and flew towards the east. Her divine sense bounced back abruptly. Yi Jioga immediately opened his eyes. That cold and bloody aura, just now, was very strange, and did not seem to belong to Su Junqing. Could it be Lu Yunfei? Yi Jioga hurriedly jumped out of the window and chased after that row of small buildings in the east. Unfortunately, after circling the inside and outside of the building, he could no longer find that strange aura. Other than the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, Yi Shanshan, and Gong Hongyu, she remembered that there were several other important people living here. Yi Jioga took out the yellow booklet again and started reading. She discovered that other than her, the other Tier 2 pill refiners were all living in the eastern building. Was it a coincidence or an accident? The more Yi Jioga thought about it, the more uneasy he became. He returned to his room and had a sleepless night. He got up before dawn to look for Aunt Chong. Aunt Chong, was there any movement at the east building last night? Yi Jioga asked. No, the guard on duty last night said it was very peaceful there. Did young miss discover something? Auntie Chong quickly asked. If Yi Jioga discovered something, and they did not know about it, then they would have failed in their duties. No, I was just casually asking. Yi Jioga shook his head, and could not help but look towards the east. He saw that it was very quiet there. Other than the servants coming in and out, there was not a single pill refiner walking around. Everyone was focused on preparing for the competition tomorrow. Thinking about the competition tomorrow, Yi Jioga could only put down the questions in his heart and wholeheartedly prepare for the competition. The next day, the pill refining competition officially began. All the participants had to wait in the pill refining pavilion's hall to enter. Yi Jioga pulled Yi Rui to a corner and carefully observed the Tier 2 pill refiners participating in the competition. Gong Hongyu wore a red dress today and stood in the middle of the hall. She was very arrogant and looked at the others with disdain. It was as if she was saying that all of them were trash who were here to spar with her. Yi Shanshan wore a white dress and stood beside Gong Hongyu like a white lotus. She was very low-key. A young man with a head full of small braids and dressed in a black and red robe stood in the left corner. His eyes wandered around, and he was very vigilant. A middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean face, and thin wrinkles on the corners of her mouth stood in the right corner. She looked very aloof. A tall and sturdy man with short hair stood by the door. His eyes were sharp and his face was dark. Although he looked like a martial artist, he was 100% a second-rank pill refiner. As Yi Jioga was studying them, they were also sizing up each other to assess the gap between them. Yi Jioga's reputation as a trash had spread far and wide, so these alchemists did not put her in their eyes. Most of their attention was on Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan. Big sister, why hasn't the competition started yet? Yi Rui was a little tired from standing. Soon, just wait a little longer. Just as Yi Jioga finished speaking, 20 young men wearing green bamboo embroidered robes walked in from the back. These were the students of Alchemy City. They were responsible for all aspects of the competition. One of the students held a large green box in his hand and announced, "Honored guests, please come and draw lots. The number you draw will represent the room you will be using later." Yi Jioga drew number 36, while Yi Rui drew number 48. After drawing lots, the students stood in 2 rows and shouted in unison, "Greetings, Grandmaster Dongfang." Tap tap tap. A gray-robed old man with messy hair and a wizened face walked in. This was the Thunder Nation's 5th-rank alchemist in charge of this competition, Dongfang Yao. This old man's white hair was tied up with a piece of cloth. A few strands fell on his forehead. One side of his sleeves was long and the other short. One look, and you could tell he was someone who didn't care about what the world thought of him. He had spent his entire life guarding Alchemy City, and was widely recognized as a pill-refining madman. Every year, he would be the judge for the competition. He was a very fair person, and everyone trusted him. Dongfang Yao was a man of few words. He immediately rang the bell and announced the start of the competition. Yi Jyoga's alchemy room was in the middle right corner with a simple layout. On the left was a second great alchemy cauldron, while on the right were tools used to process ingredients. None of the alchemy rooms had roofs, so that the judges could observe from above. Today's test is the heart-nourishing pill. Dongfang Yao's voice echoed throughout the venue. Yi Jyoga was startled when she heard the question. Chapter 152. Yi Jyoga remembered that in the past alchemy competitions, the first 2 rounds were all about basic pills, and only in the last round would the more difficult pills appear. Who would have thought that they would use such a big move in the first round? No wonder the recommendation was cancelled. Gosh, how could it be the heart-nourishing pill? I've never practiced it before. Many examinees started wailing. The heart-nourishing pill was a rather unpopular pill. Coupled with the fact that the required herbs were rather complicated, very few people would refine this pill. Aside from experience, pill concoction also requires the ability to learn and comprehend. I will give you 3 sets of medicinal herbs and a pill formula. If you feel that you cannot concoct it, you can scram now, Dongfang Yao said impatiently. In the past, he had always relied on the basic pills that alchemists often refined. Every time he appraised the pills, it would be difficult to determine which one was better, which made him feel very annoyed. Recently, he had been researching a new pill formula, so he was not in the mood to host this alchemy competition. Thus, he simply chose a pill that no one practiced often and eliminated most of the people first. A 5th-grade imperial alchemist was just that capricious. Although Yi Jyoga had never refined the heart-nourishing pill before, she was not afraid of it. The heart-nourishing pill required 49 types of medicinal herbs to be concocted, and the apprentice brought over a large basket of medicinal herbs. Yi Jyoga poured out the medicinal herbs from the basket and arranged them in the small bamboo basket. When she examined the heart-nourishing flower, her pupils suddenly contracted. The heart-nourishing flower was about the size of a thumb. It had pink petals and gray stamens. It was the main ingredient of the heart-nourishing pill. In this large bunch of heart-nourishing flowers, there were a dozen small flowers with black spots on their stamens. It was impossible to distinguish them from each other. However, Yi Jyoga's eyesight was extraordinary. He could tell at a glance that this small flower with a black stamen was not a heart-nourishing flower, but a heart-devouring flower. Although the heart-devouring flower looked very similar to the heart-nourishing flower, its effects were the exact opposite. If it was refined as a heart-nourishing flower, it would become a highly toxic pill. Consuming it would result in a loss of spiritual energy, and in severe cases death. Because they grew up in different environments, most people wouldn't make a mistake. Unless the person who delivered the medicine made a mistake on purpose. Yi Jyoga looked up at a tall and skinny apprentice in front of him. He was the one who had delivered the medicine. The apprentice happened to be peeking at her out of the corner of his eye. When their eyes met, he immediately turned his face away guiltily. Other than the crown prince, she couldn't think of anyone else who could instruct an apprentice to tamper with her herbs. If it was an alchemist who was not familiar with the heart-nourishing pill, he might really fall for it. But to Yi Jyoga, it was a piece of cake. She didn't want to make it public, because it was useless to say it. The heart-devouring flower and the heart-nourishing flower looked very similar, so it was reasonable for the apprentices to say that they had made a mistake. Moreover, the selection of medicinal herbs was originally a part of the competition, so there was nothing to make a fuss about. After Yi Jyoga picked out all the heart-devouring flowers, he went to check the alchemy furnace, and indeed found a problem. There were a few small holes on the furnace, which would lower the grade of the pill. Yi Jyoga didn't stand on ceremony this time, and directly called the apprentice over to ask for a new alchemy furnace. In the referee room on the top floor, in addition to the main referee, Dongfang Yao, there were also 2 level 4 alchemists as assistant referees. The short and plump man was called Old Chun. The tall and thin man was called Elder Shao. Both of them were elders of Alchemy City. In addition to the 3 referees, the crown prince, Dongfang Jianming, was also present. He was respectfully standing beside Dongfang Yao, accompanying him to observe the situation of the various alchemy rooms. Now that all the apprentices had started to concoct the medicinal herbs, Yi Jioga's movements immediately attracted Dongfang Yao's attention. "What's the matter with number 36? Dongfang Yao frowned and asked. "She said that there's a problem with the alchemy furnace and wants us to give her a new one." Dongfang Yao's head apprentice, Li Zijuan, quickly asked about the situation. "Didn't I ask you to inspect it carefully? How could there be a problem?" Dongfang Yao's sharp eyes swept over. This was because the alchemy competition's medicinal herbs and equipment were distributed uniformly. Thus he was very strict about this. "This disciple has failed in his duty. Please punish me, master." Li Zijuan immediately bowed and apologized. "Uncle, this matter can't be blamed on Zijuan. That number 36 Yi Jioga is a famous troublemaker. Unless you give her the 30,000 gold cauldron, she won't be satisfied." The crown prince added oil to the fire. "Who is Yi Jioga?" Dongfang Yao was stunned. "She's Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter." Elder Chen added, "Isn't Grandmaster Yun's granddaughter trash? Why is she participating in the competition?" Although Dongfang Yao had been stationed in Alchemy City for many years, he had heard of Yi Jioga's reputation as a trash. "Uncle, you might not know, but Yi Jioga said that she had a fortuitous encounter. Not only did she recover her appearance and cultivation, she even became a second-rank alchemist." The crown prince pointed out with a smile. "So there was such a thing. What kind of fortuitous encounter did she have?" Elder Xiao asked with interest. "Who knows? She said that she was able to recover her cultivation with a pill left behind by Grandmaster Yun in the Unbounded Abyss. I was just about to ask the Grandmasters if there really is a pill in this world that can allow someone with severed meridians to recover their cultivation and learn alchemy without a teacher?" The crown prince exaggeratedly asked. "If there really is such a pill, then this old man would like to see it for himself." Elder Xiao stroked his beard. He clearly didn't believe it. Elder Chen didn't say anything, but his chubby face was also filled with disapproval. "The world is so big that nothing is too strange. Old man Yin has always been lucky, so it wouldn't be strange for him to leave behind some treasures for his bloodline." Dongfang Yao disapprovingly spoke. Although he didn't get along with Yin Tianwei in the past, ever since Yin Tianwei's disappearance, he felt more and more lonely without an opponent. Now that he heard someone questioning his opponent, it felt as if the person was questioning him. "Uncle is right. I am ignorant and inexperienced." The crown prince didn't think that the imperial uncle would speak up for Yi Jioga. He originally wanted to pour dirty water on Yi Jioga, but he immediately swallowed it back down. Dongfang Yao carefully looked at Yi Jioga's pill concoction technique and nodded. "Not bad. It seems like you have practiced quite a bit." Yi Jioga didn't know that she had already entered Dongfang Yao's eyes. She concentrated on processing the ingredients before starting the pill concoction. The heart-nourishing pill was difficult to concoct because there were too many ingredients. In order to completely fuse the medicinal liquid, one had to pay attention to the heat. One careless mistake could result in a waste pill, so one could only rely on the experience of an alchemist. However, Yi Jioga's spiritual sense had greatly increased after her breakthrough. The 49 ingredients inside the cauldron were all clearly visible to her. At this moment, most of the ingredients had already dissolved. Only the heart-nourishing flour was still a bit lacking. She increased the heat, and after the heart-nourishing flour had completely dissolved, she lowered the heat to simmer it slowly. She didn't stay idle while she was simmering. She used her spiritual sense to flip the medicinal liquid up and down, so that it was evenly heated. Just as the pill was about to be finished, a sudden change occurred. Chapter 153. The originally quiet earth fire suddenly surged, turning into raging flames that spread out. The medicine shelves closest to the furnace were all set on fire. The fire was about to reach Yi Jioga's face. Her fingers moved slightly, and a wisp of white flame quietly drilled into the source of the earth fire, swallowing it in one gulp. Yi Jioga waved her hand, and the earth fire that lost its source disappeared, leaving behind a charred furnace. The commotion of the fire was too big. Even Yi Rui realized something was wrong. She ignored the student's obstruction and ran over, asking anxiously, "Big sister, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Why are you here?" "Hurry up and go back to concoct pills," Yi Jioga said. Big sister, why are you still concocting pills? Yi Rui was so angry that her face turned red. She shouted at the student. What are you guys doing? You can't even control the earth fire. What if someone gets burned? When the people who were concocting pills heard Yi Rui's words, they couldn't help but move away from the earth fire. The heart-nourishing pill was already hard to concoct. Now that they were distracted, they basically became useless pills. They immediately complained about the earth fire. What's going on? Dongfang Yao had already rushed over from the referee's room when the earth fire went out of control. Behind him were Old Chun, Old Xiao, and the Crown Prince. Master, the earth fire went out of control. Li Zijuan's expression was very ugly. The alchemy competition had been held for so many years, but this was the first time such a major mistake had occurred. Everyone else's earth fire is fine. Why did your earth fire go out of control? Did you do something you shouldn't have? The Crown Prince sneered, looking at Yi Zhuge with malice. If I knew how to make the earth fire go out of control, I would be the Crown Prince, Yi Zhuge said sarcastically. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that the earth fire went out of control because of the Crown Prince? Dongfang Yao asked directly. Uncle, I didn't. The Crown Prince quickly denied. There must be some misunderstanding here. Miss Yi, why don't you come to the referee's room with us? Old Chen saw that the situation was bad and quickly said, No, if there's anything, we'll have to make it clear here. Big sister just changed the alchemy furnace. Is there something wrong with that alchemy furnace? Yi Rui was small in stature, but she was full of vigor. She looked like she wanted to seek justice for her big sister. Yes, someone drilled a hole in that pill furnace. Yi Zhuge nodded. She didn't want to say these things, but she was very angry when she lost control of the earth fire. It was one thing for the Crown Prince to tamper with the medicinal herbs and the cauldron, but to think that he even dared to touch the earth fire. If not for her white bone flame being able to devour flames, she might have been injured by this earth fire. Just as everyone was discussing this matter, Dongfang Yao coldly said, The path of alchemy is ever-changing, so accidents are very common. However, as an alchemist, you must abide by your heart. If you don't want to compete, then scram. As soon as he said that, no one dared to say anything else. They all retracted their heads and started to refine their pills again. Even though he had failed to concoct the pill just now, he still had 2 more chances. He couldn't afford to waste them. Fourth sister, Great Master Dongfang is right. If you want to advance on the path of alchemy, you have to get rid of external things. You should also go back. Yi Zhuge patted Yi Rui's head. All right. Although Yi Rui was still a little unwilling, she still obediently returned to her alchemy room. Change her alchemy room, and prepare 3 more sets of ingredients. Dongfang Yao ordered the disciples behind him. No need. Yi Zhuge shook his head. What? You want to withdraw from the competition, just because of a little setback? Dongfang Yao looked displeased. With just this little ability, you still have the face to say that you are Great Master Yun's granddaughter. The Crown Prince sneered from the side. I don't want to withdraw from the competition, Yi Zhuge said with an innocent face. Then what do you want? Dongfang Yao frowned, thinking that Yi Zhuge wanted to take the opportunity to make a rude request. I don't want to do anything. Yi Zhuge inexplicably looked at Dongfang Yao and said, My heart-nourishing pill has already been refined. There is no need to prepare another alchemy room and ingredients. Isn't your pill useless? Dongfang Yao's surprised gaze fell on Yi Zhuge's alchemy furnace. Who said it was useless? Yi Zhuge opened the alchemy furnace that was burnt black. Inside the alchemy furnace lay 3 pink and lustrous pills, exuding a fragrant aura. She had just used her spiritual sense to wrap around the already formed heart-nourishing pill, so the pill was not affected by the out-of-control earth fire. Grade 1 heart-nourishing pill. Dongfang Yao could see the grade of this pill at a glance, and could not help but look at Yi Zhuge with a bit of appreciation. Then I can rest now. Yi Zhuge's expression was cold. Wait a moment. Come with me first, I have something to ask you. Dongfang Yao turned and walked towards the tea room on the 2nd floor. Yi Zhuge put away the heart-nourishing pill and followed Dongfang Yao upstairs. The Crown Prince fiercely looked at Yi Zhuge's back, wishing that he could eat her alive. What does Great Master Dongfang want with me? Yi Zhouge stood at the door and asked. Dongfang Yao was also a clever person. He did not invite Yi Zhouge to sit down, and directly asked, "Girl, are you selling the spiritual fire in your body?" Yi Zhouge's pupils suddenly shrank. He did not think that even though he was so careful, he would still be able to detect the existence of the white bone fire. However, at this time, he absolutely could not admit it. Yi Zhouge was just about to play dumb, when Dongfang Yao opened his mouth and said, "It is useless for you to deny it. This old man has his own way to test it. The earth fire here is something that I have spent countless efforts to cultivate. You commanded the spiritual fire to swallow it. Shouldn't you give this old man an explanation?" Yi Zhouge was silent for a moment, then said, "That is because you harmed me first. This time, it is indeed our dereliction of duty. This old man will definitely give you an explanation after investigating." Although Dongfang Yao was obsessed with cultivation, he was not a fool who did not know anything. "Even if Dongfang Jiaming is behind this, can you give me an explanation?" Yi Zhouge raised his eyebrows. His face was full of disbelief. "Even if Dongfang Yan is behind this old man can still give you an explanation." Dongfang Yao was very domineering. He did not even put Xianwu Emperor Dongfang Yan in his eyes. Yi Zhouge could see that Dongfang Yao was not lying to her. But even so, she could not sell the white bone fire to him. "This is a different thing. I will give you 100 spirit coins to buy your spiritual fire, and I will also give you a wood pseudo-spiritual fire. If you have any other requests, as long as I can do it, I will agree." Dongfang Yao's price was very reasonable. One spirit coin was equivalent to 10,000 gold, but even gold could not be exchanged for spirit coins. Although the wood pseudo-spiritual fire was not a spiritual fire, it was still a very rare flame, and it was very suitable for Yi Zhouge's current cultivation. The most important thing was the promise of Dongfang Yao, a rank 5 alchemist of the imperial family. If it was someone else, they would have been tempted, but unfortunately, Yi Zhouge could not sell it. He would die if he sold it. Chapter 154. Little girl, this price is already very reasonable. Don't push your luck. Dongfang Yao said with dissatisfaction. "I'm not pushing my luck. I'm not selling." Yi Zhouge said plainly. She had already integrated the white bone fire into her dantian. Digging it out was the same as opening a hole in her dantian. "If you don't want to sell, then forget it." Dongfang Yao waved his hand in annoyance. If it was a small alchemist, he would have taken the spiritual fire, even if he had to. However, Yi Zhouge was Yin Tianwei's granddaughter, so he couldn't bring himself to do it. Seeing that Dongfang Yao was so easygoing, Yi Zhouge felt a bit apologetic. After a moment of hesitation, she said, "Actually, this spiritual fire is useless to you." "What do you mean?" Dongfang Yao asked in confusion. Yi Zhouge raised his finger, and a wisp of white flame with a strange and serene aura appeared. The entire room became incomparably gloomy. "Ghost fire? Are you crazy? You actually dared to store the ghost fire in your dantian." Dongfang Yao was shocked and looked at Yi Zhouge, as if he had seen a ghost. Ghost fire could only be used to refine yin pills, but spirit cultivators needed yang pills. Only evil cultivators and devil cultivators needed yin pills. Currently, there were very few yin pill recipes on the market. Even Dongfang Yao only had a few, so this ghost fire was useless. Yi Zhouge smiled and didn't explain. She couldn't tell Dongfang Yao that she had a complete set of yin pill recipes. "Little girl, you look soft, but you're quite brave. You're worthy of being old man Yun's bloodline." Although Dongfang Yao felt that it was crazy for an alchemist to store a ghost fire, he still admired Yi Zhouge's courage. "Great Master Dongfang, do you know my grandfather? Do you know where he went before he disappeared?" Yi Zhouge immediately asked. "Little girl, don't misunderstand. I'm not familiar with your grandfather." Dongfang Yao snorted arrogantly. "Oh." Yi Zhouge immediately became cold. Dongfang Yao was a bit annoyed by her attitude. He coldly snorted and said, "Old man Yun left too suddenly. I only heard that he went to a secret realm to find some treasure." Treasure? Could her grandfather's disappearance be related to the treasure map? Although Yi Zhouge was surprised, his expression did not change. He said calmly, Thank you for your guidance, Master Dongfang. Little girl, don't learn from old Yin and go searching for treasures. How could there be so many treasures in this world for you to find? Dongfang Yao muttered. Just as Yi Jioge was getting dizzy from Dongfang Yao's nagging, he heard a knock on the door. Li Zijuan said respectfully, Master, the competition is over. Dongfang Yao replied in a dignified manner before instructing Yi Jioge. Take your pills and leave. With that, he got up and left the room. Yi Jioge silently returned to the competition venue. There were a total of 52 participants in the alchemy competition, but only 6 level 2 alchemists succeeded in refining the heart-nourishing pill. The pills refined by the others were all useless. At this moment, the heart-nourishing pills refined by Yi Jioge and the others were lined up in front of the judge. Yi Jioge's heart-nourishing pill is the best, Dongfang Yao said directly. Her heart-nourishing pill is not bad, but I feel that Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan's pills are better, and their methods are more standard. Elder Xiao and Elder Chen had different opinions. Then Yi Jioge is the best, Gong Hongyu and Yi Shanshan are the best, and the other 3 are good, Dongfang Yao said decisively. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao nodded silently. After all, this was only the first round of the competition. There were still 2 more rounds to go. The Crown Prince disagreed. Uncle, the medicine testing segment hasn't started yet. It's too early to judge now. The medicine testing segment of the Thunder Nation's alchemy competition was to gather people who were willing to test the medicine. When the competition started, they would choose the most suitable patients based on the effects of the medicine. A medicine that could cure an illness was a good medicine, and a medicine that could kill a person was a bad one. In the previous alchemy competition, there were many examples of people being cured by the medicine, but no one had died from eating it. After all, the medicine that could advance to the next stage was of a good grade. Let the patients come in. Dongfang Yao instructed Li Zijuan. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded respectfully and ordered the apprentices to bring the patients in. Not long later, 6 people with pale faces and cyanosis on their lips walked in. It was obvious that they were patients with serious heart problems. The person in charge of testing the medicine for Yi Jioge was a handsome young man with dark skin and deep facial features. Although he was wearing the most commonly seen narrow sleeves of the Thunder Nation, Yi Jioge was certain that he wasn't from the Thunder Nation. When the other patients saw the medicine, they all revealed expressions of surprise, nervousness, excitement, fear, and worry. Only this young man's eyes were lowered, and he was strangely calm. Let's start testing the medicine. Li Zijuan instructed the apprentices to help the patients take the heart-nourishing pill. Gong Hongyu's patient was a slender young lady with a beautiful appearance. She clutched her chest and looked like a sickly beauty. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, her pale face gradually became rosy, and her slightly bent body straightened up. She seemed to be in high spirits, and her face was glowing, as if she had taken the divine medicine. Heavens, my illness is completely cured. Thank you, Master, for saving my life. The lady immediately knelt on the ground and began to sob. From what I see, Gong Hongyu's medicine is the most outstanding. The Crown Prince nodded in satisfaction. Yi Jioge's eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. Although the heart-nourishing pill would have an obvious effect on the patient, this young lady's performance was a little too exaggerated. Either her illness wasn't as serious as it seemed, or she was a healthy person. With the Crown Prince's personality, it was possible that he would do such a thing in order to help Gong Hongyu win. Yi Shanshan didn't know how Yi Shanshan felt when she saw the Crown Prince helping Gong Hongyu. Yi Shanshan's patient was a skinny young man of 17 years old. His thin lips were deep purple, and he seemed to be having difficulty breathing. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, his breathing immediately became smoother. The purple on his lips faded and was replaced by a faint pink. He seemed to be much more energetic. He solemnly kowtowed 3 times to Yi Shanshan, thanking her for saving his life. The other patient's conditions also improved after taking the heart-nourishing pill. However, compared to Gong Hongyu's medicine, they were far inferior. Finally, only the young patient Yi Jioge was left. Eat it. The apprentice who helped the young man get the medicine was the one who gave the medicine to Yi Jioge. The young man fixed his eyes on the pill. His slightly dark, handsome face revealed a determined expression. He took it and swallowed it. Because Yi Joga's medicine was rated the best, everyone wanted to see the effect of her medicine. After taking the heart-nourishing pill, the young man's pale face gradually became rosy. His purple lips also returned to normal. Although it wasn't as exaggerated as Gong Hongyu's, the effect was not bad. At this point, the medicine testing segment was over. The Crown Prince was just about to suggest changing Gong Hongyu's medicine to the best, when there was a sudden commotion among the people testing the medicine. The young man who took Yi Joga's medicine staggered and rushed out. His expression was ferocious and painful. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he suddenly spat out a mouthful of bright red blood and fell heavily to the ground. Chapter 155. What's going on? Everyone was shocked. Yi Joga immediately rushed forward to check the young man's pulse and discovered that his heart meridians were all broken. It was a miracle that he didn't die. She took out the thunderfire needle and sealed his broken heart meridians. She then raised her head and shouted at Li Zijuan, "Prepare a quiet room for me. I want to treat him." Oh, Li Zijuan was about to instruct the apprentices to prepare a room when he was stopped by Gong Hongyu. She pointed at Yi Joga and shouted, "Yi Joga, you actually refined a poisonous pill to harm people. You're simply heartless and heartless." After saying that, she turned to look at the judges and said, "I strongly request that the alchemy competition disqualify her." "I agree." The Crown Prince immediately nodded. "Agree, your grandpa." Yi Joga raised his head and said angrily, "Saving people is more important. Is this the time to talk about this? He was poisoned to death by you, and you still have the face to talk about saving people." Gong Hongyu coldly snorted and said to Dongfang Yao, "Grandmaster, Yi Joga is vicious and merciless. You must not tolerate her." Dongfang Yao picked up Yi Joga's remaining heart-nourishing pill and sniffed it. He frowned and said, "There's no problem with these pills. Grandmaster, Yi Joga's tester died in front of you. How can you say that there's no problem?" Gong Hongyu agitatedly said, "Gong Hongyu, you keep saying that there's a problem with my pills. Did you do something?" Yi Joga saw that he couldn't save people if he didn't clear the pill. He simply stood up and pointed at the tall and thin apprentice and said, "He put the heart-devouring flower in my ingredients. You must have instructed him." "What heart-devouring flower? I never sent it." The tall and thin apprentice hurriedly shook his head in denial. "If you didn't send these heart-devouring flowers, then did I bring them in myself?" Yi Joga took out a heart-devouring flower from his pocket and sneered. Li Zijuan took the ingredients from Yi Joga's hands and carefully looked at them before handing them to Dongfang Yao. "It seems to be heart-devouring flower." Dongfang Yao glanced at it and knew it was heart-devouring flower, because this flower was too similar to the heart-nourishing flower. He specially told the apprentices to choose carefully. He didn't expect that someone would deliberately put a large amount in. Dongfang Yao knew very well who was behind this. He had wanted to warn the Crown Prince after this round of competition was over, but he couldn't help it now. The Crown Prince didn't know that his uncle was already dissatisfied with him. He said with justice, "I don't know anything about the heart-devouring flower. I only know that your medicine tester died after eating your pill. This is your responsibility. Unfortunately, my medicinal tester is still alive. I fear I will have to disappoint your highness," Yi Joga said coldly. Although the medicine tester was no different from being dead, she had to save him because of the Crown Prince's words. Dongfang Yao calmly stepped forward to take the pulse of the youth. He then took out a bottle of third-stage heart-nourishing pills and said to Yi Joga, "Let him take this." Yi Joga took it without hesitation and poured it all into the young man's mouth. The young man's deathly pale face finally regained some color. "Imperial uncle, he is just a tester. You actually gave him such a good pill. Isn't it too wasteful?" The Crown Prince was furious. A third-stage heart-nourishing pill was something that couldn't be bought with money. To actually give it to a dying alchemist, the imperial uncle was really muddle-headed. Because the young man's condition was the most serious, his heart meridian was already extremely weak. He could die at any moment, so the imperial uncle specially gave it to Yi Joga. He didn't think that the imperial uncle would help Yi Jioga like this. Shut up. Dongfang Yao raised his head and fiercely said to the crown prince. Before you came, everything was normal. Now that you've interfered, there are problems everywhere. I can't tolerate a big Buddha like you here. You should go back to Shangjing. Imperial uncle, what do you mean? The crown prince was so shocked that his voice trembled. That's right, great master Dongfang. It was clearly Yi Jioga who made the wrong pill and caused the death. How can you blame the crown prince? Gong Hongyu was also dissatisfied. She wanted to help the crown prince, but she didn't think that Dongfang Yao was preparing to deal with her. Gong Hongyu, you are disqualified. Dongfang Yao's eyes were very cold. Why? Gong Hongyu screamed. Because you cheated. Dongfang Yao wasn't blind. He could naturally see that Gong Hongyu's tester was not a patient. If it was any other time, he would turn a blind eye. After all, Gong Hongyu's pills were quite good. But since she was so arrogant, she couldn't blame him for not giving face to the Gong family. Gong Hongyu was so angry that she trembled, but she didn't dare to contradict the angry Dongfang Yao. She fiercely glared at Yi Jioga, then ran out in tears. Elder Chun and Elder Xiao looked at each other, not daring to make a sound. The other alchemists also maintained their silence. The test is over. Let the evaluation begin. Dongfang Yao once again ordered. Although Yi Jioga's tester did not die, her evaluation still became the lowest. The other 3 second-stage alchemists were still good, so the best result was Yi Shanshan. Yi Jioga didn't care about this result. He only asked Li Zijuan to help send the tester to his Flying Frost Pavilion. Li Zijuan did as Dongfang Yao said. In the Rising Heaven Pavilion, the crown prince's face was as ugly as a dark cloud. Once he returned to his courtyard, he immediately called Su Junqing over and scolded him. Didn't you say that if we followed your plan, we would definitely be able to pull Yi Jioga down? How come she not only won the competition, but also caused me to be despised by Imperial Uncle? When he thought that his Imperial Uncle would tell this matter to his Imperial Father, his entire body froze from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. Your Highness, please calm down. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. Su Junqing had set up layers of traps to push Yi Jioga and Wan Xiang into the land of 10,000 calamity. He didn't expect that Yi Jioga not only didn't fall for his trap, but also hit the crown prince. I don't care what method you use, I will kill Yi Jioga. The crown prince said angrily. Don't worry, crown prince. Even if Yi Jioga wins the pill refining competition, she won't be able to escape from our palms. Su Junqing said confidently. You say that every time, but when can you do it well? I really don't know why Imperial Mother sent you here. You're simply trash. The crown prince roared at Su Junqing. A sinister light flashed in Su Junqing's eyes, but he quickly returned to his original state. He smiled and looked at the crown prince's eyes. He said gently, there must be a reason why the Empress sent me to assist your Highness. You can choose not to believe me, but you can't not believe the Empress. The crown prince looked at Su Junqing's bottomless eyes and suddenly felt that Su Junqing was right. Everyone could be wrong, but not his Imperial Mother. Then I'll believe you once more. The crown prince said unwillingly. Yes, your Highness, please do as I say. Su Junqing said his next step of the plan. The crown prince was shocked after hearing it. Chapter 156. Are you crazy? That's someone from the Gong family. The crown prince looked at Su Junqing in disbelief. Your Highness, this subordinate knows that you want to rope in the Gong clan, but Gong Hongyu is definitely not a good choice, because the person she likes is Dongfang Quebec. No matter how well you treat her, it's useless. Su Junqing said slowly. The crown prince immediately thought of how Gong Hongyu had complained about him being useless after being disqualified by Dongfang Yao. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He couldn't help but clench his fists and said fiercely, You're right. A stupid woman isn't worth roping in. It's better to use her for something more useful. Your Highness is wise. Su Junqing's lips curled up and he left. When he returned to his room and opened the door, he smelled a faint fishy smell. Junior brother, I heard that you were scolded badly today. Lu Yunfei's sweet voice sounded from Su Junqing's bed. Then, a fair and tender lotus root-like arm lifted the green bed curtain. revealing a delicate face and fair and smooth shoulders. Senior sister is indeed powerful. Nothing can hide from your eyes. Su Junqing looked down, not daring to look at the bed. How is it? Do you want senior sister to help you vent your anger? Lu Yunfei got off the bed naked. The man's corpse lying behind her looked like a skeleton. Lu Yunfei had just sucked the essence and blood of a martial artist. Her skin was glowing, and a faint fragrance floated to the tip of Su Junqing's nose. Thank you for your kindness, senior sister. But the crown prince is still useful. Let him go first. Su Junqing looked at his nose and silently closed his nose aperture. If you come and help me put on my clothes, I'll consider letting him go. Lu Yunfei laughed, the white swaying on her chest reflecting a dazzling light. Yes. Su Junqing calmed down again, and picked up the pink doo-doo on the ground to help Lu Yunfei put it on. The whole process was very calm. I couldn't tell that little junior brother is a good person. Lu Yunfei put on her clothes and pinched Su Junqing's chest. Tell me, why did you call me here? Senior sister, the crown prince has already agreed to the next step of our plan. Tonight is the highlight of the show, so I hope that senior sister can personally cooperate with us to prevent things from changing. Su Junqing specially brought a man with a high cultivation as a sacrifice, and called Lu Yunfei back, hoping that she would personally deal with Yi Jiuge. Don't worry, since I've taken your benefits, I'll naturally do my best to help you. Lu Yunfei frivolously patted Su Junqing's face and smiled very charmingly. For the past few days, she had been playing with the shadow assassin Yi Yu. Originally, he wanted to push him down tonight and reap the fruits of victory. However, the sacrificial offering just now was still to her liking. She was very full now, so she decided to pick the night feather later. Thank you, senior sister. Su Junqing had a grateful expression, but in his heart, he was very dissatisfied. This wasn't his mission alone, but Lu Yunfei looked like she was here to help. However, no matter how dissatisfied he was, he did not dare to make a sound. If he failed this mission, Lu Yunfei would at most be confined and punished by the elder ancestor, but he would not be able to escape death. All right, I'll go meet that prey now. Lu Yunfei stuck out her pink tongue and licked her lips, muttering to herself. Although that woman's temper is a bit bad, her skin is not bad. With that, her figure disappeared like a ghost. Su Junqing silently destroyed the dried corpse on the bed and tidied up the messy room. Then, he opened the window and looked towards the west direction of the Flying Frost sect, laughing coldly in his heart. Yi Jiuge, tonight will be the day of your death. At this moment, Yi Jiuge was in the backyard of the Flying Frost sect treating the youth, who was testing the medicine. Although the youth had already taken the bottle of rank 3 heart-nourishing pills from Dongfang Yao, his condition was still very bad. His broken heart meridian was in a mess, his blood was flowing in the opposite direction, and he was in danger of dying at any moment. If she wanted to save him, she had to use external force to smooth out his heart meridian, allowing his blood to circulate normally. If Yi Jiuge did not advance, she was afraid that she would be helpless. She pinched her fingers and inserted the thunder fire needle into the youth's body, and began to use all her strength to repair his heart meridian. Ever since Yi Jiuge's cultivation advanced, not only did the spiritual power in her body double, her control over the lightning fire needle also became more sensitive. Under her control, the purplish-red lightning fire needle turned into a stream of light, repairing the youth's heart meridian one by one. Time flew. When she finished repairing the last one, her entire body was about to collapse. But fortunately, the heart meridian was repaired perfectly. After the youth's blood returned to the right path, his breathing became incomparably stable, and his tightly knitted brows also relaxed. Yi Jiuge estimated that he would probably need another 4 hours before he would wake up, so she left the room. Yi Rui was anxiously waiting outside. Upon seeing her, she immediately asked, "Big sister, just what happened? Who is that man?" After she lost the first round of the competition, she was cleared out, so she did not know what happened afterwards. Just now, when she saw Yi Jiuge bringing a dying man back, she was really scared to death. "He is my medicine tester today." Yi Jiuge told her what happened in the competition. After Yi Rui heard that Gong Hongyu was disqualified and the crown prince was chased back to the capital, she immediately jumped up in joy and shouted, "This good news must be properly celebrated. Let's celebrate then." Yi Jioga saw that the crown prince and Gong Hongyu were out of luck, so she was also very happy. "Qing Hu Qing Lu, Yu Dai Hua Dai. Take some money to the small kitchen and have them make a few more dishes. Tonight we will have a big meal," Yi Rui excitedly said. "Yes, Qing Hu Qing Lu," and Yu Dai all responded. "Where is Hua Dai?" Yi Jioga glanced around and found that a little maid was missing. Hua Dai heard that there is a pastry shop in Alchemy City that makes very authentic hawthorn cakes, so she wanted to buy them for Big Miss to try. Looking at the time, they should be back soon, Yu Dai quickly said. Yi Jioga couldn't help but frown and said, "These days are not peaceful. Don't go out too much in the future." This time, the crown prince suffered such a big loss, so he was afraid that he would not be satisfied and randomly bite people. "Yes, this servant understands." Yu Dai and the others quickly nodded. Qing Hu took the money to the small kitchen and came back to report. "Big Miss, official one has come to visit and is waiting in the front hall." Although Wan Xiang and Yi Jioga were very familiar, there was a difference between men and women, so visiting etiquette was still necessary. "Tell him to wait for a moment. I will go down after I change my clothes." Yi Jioga's body was filled with the smell of medicine. "Yes." Qing Hu bowed and went down. Yi Jioga changed his clothes and came to the front hall to see Wan Xiang, sitting on a chair with a frown. "Big brother Wan, is there something troubling you?" Yi Jioga curiously asked. "This time, I came to tell you something." Wan Xiang brought bad news to Yi Jioga. Chapter 157. When Bai Songling was escorting Yi Jioga, she noticed that many spiritualists who came to participate in the alchemy competition had gone missing. There were more than a dozen of them, and Bai Songling suspected that they were captured by the Bloodlust sect. The Bloodlust sect dares to attack spiritualists so brazenly? How audacious! Yi Jioga frowned. In the past, the Bloodlust sect only dared to capture ordinary people to train. Even if they wanted to deal with spiritualists, they had to do it in secret. Now they had captured more than a dozen spiritualists. That was insane. Songling has already reported this to the Spiritualist Alliance. They're going to send someone to investigate. Wan Xiang was also shocked by the evil cultivator's generosity. A dozen spiritualists was not a small number. They had to report it to the Spiritualist Alliance. Otherwise, the Spiritualist Alliance might even blame them for hiding the truth. Do you know who they'll send? Yi Jioga was worried that the Spiritualist Alliance would send an arrogant idiot who would drag them down. "I'm not sure." Wan Xiang shook his head. His network wasn't strong enough to infiltrate the Spiritualist Alliance. "But don't worry, the Thunder Nation is still our territory. The Spiritualist Alliance is mainly here to investigate. We just need to stabilize ourselves." Wan Xiang had been in the Alliance before and knew how slow they were. However, as long as the Spiritualist Alliance decided that the Bloodlust sect was a scourge, they would issue a kill order, and all spiritualists would hunt them down. This was the most important thing. Yi Jioga was confident in Wan Xiang's judgment. "This is still a secret. Don't tell anyone else in case they panic." Wan Xiang warned. "Don't worry, I know the severity." "Alright, where's Yi? Why hasn't he come to find me?" Yi Jioga hadn't seen Yi in 3 days. It was strange. Yi found Lu Yunfei outside the city and is looking for her. Wan Xiang said, "Tell him to be careful." Yi Jioga told Wan Xiang about the evil cultivator's aura last night. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on the crown prince." Wan Xiang didn't dare to relax. "There's no need to keep an eye on him. The crown prince is preparing to scram back to Shangjing." Yi Jioga told him about the competition again. Wan Xiang was shocked, but he quickly smiled. "I believe that once this news spreads, it will be very difficult to keep the position of the crown prince." No one knew better than him how much importance the emperor placed on this alchemy competition. Not only did the crown prince not do his job properly, but he also abused his power to disrupt the competition and made a mess. If the emperor knew about this, he would definitely be furious. Originally, after the news of Dongfang K's recovery had spread, The ministers had always wanted to change the position of the crown prince. Now that the crown prince had handed himself over, it was really frighteningly stupid. Logically speaking, the crown prince shouldn't be so stupid. Based on Yi Jioga's understanding of the crown prince, no matter how much he hated him, he wouldn't joke about the competition. The crown prince's recent actions are indeed somewhat abnormal. Wang Xiang thought for a moment, then said hesitantly, could he have also fallen for Su Juanqing's bewitching spell? It's possible. Then it's really a dog-biting dog, a mouthful of fur. Yi Jioga said with schadenfreude. Su Juanqing never does useless things, you must not let your guard down. Look after the people around you, in case they are used by him. Although Wang Xiang had never met Su Juanqing face to face, he knew that his bewitching spell was very powerful. When Yi Jioga heard this, his heart jumped, and he hurriedly called Yu Dai in. Is Hua Dai back yet? Not yet. Yu Dai also had an anxious expression. Hua Dai had left early in the morning. No matter how slow she was, she should have returned by now. Big brother Wan, I have a personal servant girl who went out this morning and hasn't returned yet. Can I trouble you to help me look for her? Yi Jioga had a very bad feeling. Okay, I'll send someone to look for her now. Wang Xiang immediately ordered his subordinates to investigate the pastry shop where Hua Dai had bought hawthorn cakes from. Unfortunately, Wang Xiang's subordinates had led the soldiers to the street where the pastry shop was located, but no one had seen Hua Dai. It was very obvious that this little servant girl had gone missing. When Yu Dai heard this news, she immediately burst into tears. She kept muttering that it would have been better if she had stopped Hua Dai from going out. Qing Hu and Qing Lu were also very anxious. Yi Rui's mood was even worse. Her hands were clenched so tightly that they were about to become two fried dough twists. Hua Dai's disappearance made her recall the days in the Black Cellar. The girls who were tortured and killed by the heretic cultivator were all of the same age as Hua Dai. Yi Jioga was the calmest out of all of them. As she comforted Yi Rui's emotions, she ordered Wang Xiang to continue his search. If she's alive, I want to see her. If she's dead, I want to see her corpse. I don't believe that she would disappear in Alchemy City all by herself, Yi Jioga said fiercely. Don't worry. I will definitely get to the bottom of this. Wang Xiang nodded. In the dead of night, the alchemy tower was completely silent. A cold breeze blew past, scattering frost on the floor. Yi Jioga was not in the mood to cultivate. She laid on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The news of Hua Dai's disappearance was like a stone pressing on her chest. She had always been searching for the heretic cultivator. But in the end, the heretic cultivator took away her personal servant. To her, this was simply a provocation. At this moment, a strange aura floated in from the window. Yi Jioga opened her eyes and silently sat up. She opened her spiritual eye to look outside the window. She saw a faint purple light coming in from the window. It was a purple scorpion the size of a fist. It was swaggering around the room. Yi Jioga lifted the curtains to take a closer look. She discovered that there was a small golden earring tied to the scorpion's body. It even had the word flower written on it. She immediately knew that this purple scorpion was related to Hua Dai's disappearance. The purple scorpion felt Yi Jioga's gaze. It suddenly raised its tail and shot a faint purple poison needle towards Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga raised her hand to deflect the poison needle. A purple light shrouded the purple scorpion. The purple scorpion saw that the situation was not good. It immediately turned and ran. Its speed was as fast as lightning. Yi Jioga did not have time to think and subconsciously chased after it. After the purple scorpion left the alchemy tower, it made a few turns before arriving at a rocky hill in the outskirts. Then its figure flashed, and it entered the tallest pile of rocks. Yi Jioga stopped in her tracks. She activated her spiritual energy and shot a purple lightning at the pile of rocks. With a boom, the pile of rocks flew in all directions. It revealed a black hole in the ground. The night wind blew past. A thick smell of blood floated in from the hole. Yi Jioga's heart immediately jumped to her throat. She walked step by step to the hole. The white bone flame appeared from her fingers and lit up the hole. She looked carefully. Her eyes instantly widened, and she could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Chapter 158. A skinned female corpse was tossed in the gloomy underground cave. The bloody red flesh was extremely shocking. His cracked eye sockets and dilated pupils were filled with deep resentment, making one shudder in fear. Yi-Joga felt a chill. She endured the nausea and looked at the female corpse's skull. There was a hole at the fontanelle. It was a sign that the spiritual root had been dug out. She was not a flower butterfly with spiritual roots. However, this female corpse was too miserable. Yi-Joga could not recognize who it was. She used her white bone flame to light up the cave. She found that there were more than 10 corpses behind the skinned female corpse. Although they were wearing different clothes, they were all sucked dry of blood. They should be the pill refiners that went missing. Yi-Joga's heart was beating fast. She felt inexplicably uneasy. That purple scorpion was undoubtedly the spiritual pet of the heretic cultivator. What did it want to do by leading her to this cave? Yi-Joga carefully looked at the cave, trying to find the location of the purple scorpion. Suddenly, the sharp sound of a spiritual arrow piercing through the air came from behind her. She immediately turned and formed a seal. The spiritual energy in her body surged, forming a purple barrier, blocking the green spiritual arrow. The green spiritual arrow turned into spiritual energy and disappeared in the air. In the next second, a light green figure landed in front of her. The person was handsome, slender, and had a green 7-leaf clover on his chest, representing his identity in Alchemy City. It was Dongfang Yao's head disciple Li Zijuan. Li Zijuan, why did you sneak attack me? Yi-Joga asked unkindly. I thought you were a heretic cultivator. Li Zijuan's gaze fell on the cave behind Yi-Joga. His expression changed. He said in disbelief. You killed these people? Of course not. Yi-Joga immediately denied. She was about to explain, but there was a commotion from afar. A group of soldiers holding torches quickly approached them. The one in front was wearing a golden embroidered 5-clawed dragon. It was the crown prince, Dongfang Jianming. Beside him was Yi Shanshan, but there was no trace of Su Junqing. When the crown prince reached the pile of rocks, he immediately ordered the soldiers to surround Yi-Joga. It was as if he was going to capture a large beast. Crown Prince, what is the meaning of this? When Yi-Joga saw the Crown Prince's formation, he realized that this was a trap set up by him. Otherwise, it would not have been so coincidental. Yi-Joga, I want to ask you what you mean. The Crown Prince looked at the hole behind Yi-Joga. The blazing torch illuminated the entire pile of rubble, and the situation at the entrance of the underground cave was also clear at a glance. When Yi Shanshan saw the female corpse in the hole, she immediately covered her mouth and widened her eyes. She was so scared that her face turned pale. Third Miss Gong. The Crown Prince cried out before viciously looking at Yi-Joga and saying, You deranged woman, you actually dared to act so viciously against Third Miss Gong. How do you know that this female corpse is Third Miss Gong? Yi-Joga raised his eyebrows. I found a letter in Third Miss Gong's room. The letter said that you used the law to restore her qualification and let her come to the pile of rocks alone. I didn't expect you to lead her to death. The Crown Prince was so distressed that he couldn't even continue to speak. I didn't send a letter to Third Miss Gong. It was because my personal maid, Hua Dai, was kidnapped. A purple scorpion with her earring led me here, which was why I found these corpses. Yi-Joga explained. Yi-Joga, you still dare to quibble at this point? Your maid Hua Dai wasn't kidnapped. She escaped on her own and came to us for help. She had long since discovered your true identity as an evil cultivator, but she didn't dare to expose it. Only when she heard that you were going to make a move against Third Miss Gong did she run out. I didn't think that we would still be one step too late. The Crown Prince had a regretful expression. Well, a big sister Hongyu, you died so miserably. Yi Shanshan covered her mouth and sobbed. Those who didn't know better would think that she had lost her mother. What did you say? Hua Dai is with you. This news was completely out of Yi-Joga's expectations. Young Lady Yi, your personal maid accused you of being an evil cultivator who specialized in sucking human blood to cultivate. Not only did you kidnap contestants from Alchemy City, but you also tried to kill Third Miss Gong. Do you have any explanation for this? Li Zijuan asked. Zijuan, the evidence and witnesses are here. What is there to explain? Hurry up and capture this murderous evil cultivator. The crown prince was flustered and exasperated. Although this isn't the first or second time your highness has falsely accused me, this time you're even using me as a scapegoat for evil cultivators. I don't know what benefits you've received from them. Yi Joga narrowed his eyes and spoke with a voice as cold as ice. You said that my personal maid, Hua Dai, accused me of being an evil cultivator. Call her out and confront her. The crown prince turned around and commanded. Yi Joga, you really won't shed a tear until you see your coffin. Someone bring Hua Dai out. Soon after, 2 soldiers brought a petite girl from the back of the group. She had large eyes and a small round face. It was Hua Dai's appearance. Hua Dai's eyelids drooped and didn't dare to look at Yi Joga. Hua Dai, don't be afraid. Tell everyone what you said today. The crown prince spoke with confidence. Young lady, she's not human. She's a blood-sucking evil cultivator. She killed many people in order to cultivate. She even said that third Miss Gong always went against her, and that she had to peel off her skin and dig out her spirit root to appease her hatred. Hua Dai's voice and body trembled uncontrollably. Yi Joga stared at Hua Dai and spoke word by word. Since you have the guts to falsely accuse me, why don't you have the guts to look at me? Young lady, please don't kill me. Hua Dai knelt down with her head touching the floor in fear. If you're really Hua Dai, then I won't kill you. Yi Joga's eyes turned cold. She didn't believe that the chattering maid would betray her. Unless she was under Su Juanqing's bewitching spell. Or perhaps this wasn't Hua Dai at all, but a fake. Hua Dai, don't be afraid. With me here, Yi Joga can't touch you. The crown prince stepped forward and blocked Hua Dai. He pointed at Yi Joga and shouted, Yi Joga, you bloody and cruel evil cultivator. You killed so many people for the sake of cultivating evil techniques. Hurry up and surrender. Your Highness, if I'm really an evil cultivator, can't Master Dongfang tell? Yi Joga looked at Li Zijuan and said, evil cultivators all have evil energy, and can't hide it from people with higher cultivation. Master Dongfang is a spirit master. Do you think I can hide it from him? Li Zijuan obviously didn't dare to say that his master was wrong. However, the crown prince had Gong Hongyu's will and Yi Joga's maid as a witness. Yi Joga was indeed suspicious. At this moment, Yi Shanshan suddenly stood up and said firmly, Senior Li, although I can't prove that big sister is the murderer, I can prove that she is indeed cultivating evil techniques. Chapter 159. Li Zijuan probably didn't expect Yi Shanshan to testify against her sister. He was stunned for a moment before asking, what evidence does second Miss Yi have? Senior brother Li, everyone in Shangjing knows that my big sister was seriously ill in the past. Her meridians were all broken, and she couldn't cultivate. She was ugly and dull. But some time ago, she suddenly said that she had a fortuitous encounter in the abyss. Not only did her meridians recover, but her cultivation also skyrocketed. In just 3 months, she became a level 2 spirit pill master. Even her appearance became extremely beautiful. Other than cultivating evil arts, I can't think of any other fortuitous encounter that could make her change so much. Yi Shanshan said word by word. It could be seen that she had prepared these words in her mind before saying them. It had to be said that her words were very convincing. Even Li Zijuan felt that it was very plausible. He couldn't help but frown. His gaze fell on Yi Joga's face. 3 years ago, because he admired Master Yin, he had met Yi Joga in private. At that time, Yi Joga was indeed ugly. She was timid and couldn't even speak clearly. But the Yi Joga in front of him was so beautiful, like a snow lotus blooming in the dark night. Even if she was surrounded and attacked, her limpid eyes were still so firm, revealing a proud and peerless sharpness. She was indeed a different person from before. Second sister's words are indeed reasonable. But if I really was an evil cultivator, the first person I would kill would be you. Although your blood must be unbearably stinky, it's not bad to feed it to the dogs. Yi Joga's beautiful eyes were as clear as water, but the light that flashed through them was extremely cold, like an abyss that made people's hearts tremble. Yi Shanshan was creeped out by Yi Joga's gaze, and immediately hid behind the crown prince. Yi Joga, you still don't know how to repent. How dare you threaten Shanshan in front of me? Do you really think that you can cover the sky with one hand? The crown prince immediately stood up. I'm innocent. Why should I repent? The one who wants to cover the sky with one hand is you. Yi Juga sneered. You. The crown prince was so angry that his face turned red. But he knew that he was no match for Yi Juga in a verbal battle. So he turned to Li Zijuan and said, Zijuan, both the witness and the material evidence are here. Yi Juga is the murderer. We must immediately put her in prison. Otherwise it will be difficult to explain to the Gong family. Previously, the crown prince was disliked by Dongfang Yao, so he wanted to curry favor with Li Zijuan. Otherwise, he would have already ordered for Yi Juga to be captured. When Li Zijuan thought of the Gong family, he couldn't help but have a headache. Although Gong Hongyu was only the daughter of a branch family, she was still a member of the Gong family. She came to participate in the Thunder Country's alchemy competition, but in the end, she died a tragic death in Alchemy City. No matter what, Alchemy City couldn't be separated from this matter. They had to give them an explanation. Li Zijuan sighed and said to Yi Juga, Miss Yi, now that we have the witness and the material evidence, you are the biggest suspect. Please cooperate with the investigation. If you are really innocent, we will definitely give you an explanation. Yi Juga's thoughts raced. She knew that it was impossible for her to escape from this situation. Since Li Zijuan's attitude was quite good, she might as well give him some face and go with him. She glanced at the shivering Hua Dai hiding behind the soldiers before speaking to Li Zijuan. I can go with you, but Hua Dai cannot be left with the crown prince. Hand her over to Wan Xiang. No, the crown prince immediately objected. Who doesn't know that Wan Xiang has an affair with you? How can Hua Dai be left alive in his hands? Yi Juga narrowed her eyes at the crown prince before slowly speaking to Li Zijuan. The events of the alchemy competition are still fresh in our minds. You should be well aware of the crown prince's character. I don't trust someone like him to investigate the heretical cultivators. Who knows if he has an affair with them or not? Bullshit. How could I have anything to do with heretical cultivators? Don't slander me. The crown prince almost jumped out of his seat. Li Zijuan recalled the crown prince's manipulation of the alchemy competition and felt that he was an unreliable person. So he said, This matter happened in Alchemy City, so I have the responsibility to thoroughly investigate this matter. I will personally send someone to watch over Hua Dai. Zijuan, the crown prince shouted, but after seeing Li Zijuan's determined expression, he could only shut his mouth. Then you have to keep an eye on Hua Dai. Otherwise, after she is killed, they will blame it on me. Yi Juga glanced at the crown prince with a clear hint of meaning. Of course. Li Zijuan nodded. He had his people watch over Hua Dai before speaking to Yi Juga. Let's go. What about the corpses? Yi Juga didn't move. I will send someone to deal with them later. Li Zijuan's expression was calm. It was clear that he wasn't going to do this himself. Yi Juga frowned. These corpses were killed by a heretical cultivator, so there must be many clues left on them. It would be inappropriate to deal with them rashly. I suggest that you find a professional coroner or spirit doctor to take a look. You're right. Li Zijuan had a whole new level of respect for Yi Juga. A normal person would be confused in her situation, but her thoughts were clear. She didn't seem like a murderer at all. A hypocrite. The crown prince laughed disdainfully and said to Li Zijuan, Zijuan, don't be bewitched by this witch. Heretical cultivators are best at bewitching people. She said all this to deceive you. In my opinion, we should quickly take care of third Miss Gong's corpse, so that the Gong family won't be disappointed. Yes, the dead are already dead. We should not mess with their corpses anymore. Yi Shanshan said sorrowfully. Li Zijuan suddenly hesitated. At this moment, another group of people came from the darkness. It was Wan Xiang who had received the news and rushed over. When he saw Yi Juga surrounded by the crown prince, he immediately asked unkindly, What is going on? Yi Juga cultivates heretical arts. She killed people and drank their blood. The evidence is conclusive. We are going to take her to the prison for interrogation. The crown prince spoke first. That's impossible. Wan Xiang firmly denied. Anyone can be a heretical cultivator, But not Yi Jioga. How do you know it's impossible? Are you the real murderer? The crown prince's attitude was aggressive. Just as Wan Ziang was about to argue, he was interrupted by Yi Jioga. Big brother Wan. His Highness the Crown Prince is determined to falsely accuse me. No matter what you say to him, it's useless. It's better to quickly find evidence to prove my innocence. Gong Hongyu's will and Hua Dai's testimony were very unfavorable to her. Not to mention Yi Shanshan's interference. In this situation, only by finding the real murderer could she prove her innocence. Wan Ziang immediately calmed down, and his eyes quickly became clear. Seeing that he had calmed down, Yi Jioga said seriously, "Brother Wan, there is something wrong with the corpse in the cave." Chapter 160. There's something strange about the corpse at the cave entrance. As Yi Jioga spoke, his gaze drifted toward the crown princess. There was a meaningful look on his face. She said this to trick the crown prince to see how he would react. As expected, the crown prince's eyes flickered. Previously, when Su Junxing told him that he wanted to use Gong Hongyu to deal with Yi Jioga, he did not know that this matter was related to the evil cultivator. To be honest, he was also scared when he saw so many corpses at the entrance of the cave. But now that he was riding a tiger, it was hard to get off. He could only brace himself to the end and kill Yi Jioga first. In any case, he wouldn't let Wan Ziang and the others off. It didn't matter even if they discovered something. The crown prince calmed himself down and said to Li Zijuan, "Zijuan, leave the corpses to Lord Wan to deal with. We should hurry up and bring Yi Jioga back in case something goes wrong again." Li Zijuan couldn't help but look at Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga calmly said, "I still have 2 things to tell Brother Wan. I'll leave after that." "No." The crown prince strongly objected. "All right." Li Zijuan nodded in agreement. "Speak." Wan Ziang walked to Yi Jioga's side. "The first thing." Yi Jioga told her the reason why he appeared at the pile of rocks tonight, and used the purple scorpion to vaguely mention the butterfly's abnormality. The second thing, she hoped that Wan Ziang could send someone to protect Yi Rui and Yu Dai. The crown prince, and the heretic cultivators of the bloodthirsty sect, had set up this trap to drag her into it. She was afraid that the people around her would be killed. "I've already sent people to the Flying Frost Pavilion." The moment Wan Ziang found out that something had happened to Yi Jioga, he immediately sent his elite troops to protect Yi Rui and the others. "Thank you." Yi Jioga heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that Wan Ziang was reliable. Who would have thought that Wan Ziang would reveal a look of hesitation? Yi Jioga's heart immediately jumped, and he quickly asked, "What's wrong? Did something happen?" "It's not a big deal. It's just that your medicine tester has disappeared. I've sent people to look for him, but they couldn't find any trace of him." Although Wan Ziang felt that the tester was not that important, he still had to mention it. "So be it," Yi Jioga said disapprovingly. In any case, she had only saved the tester out of morality. I don't think it's gone, but you ate it," the crown prince said maliciously. "At that time, I was wondering why you would be so kind as to use the elixir to save someone. So it was to use him for cultivation. Your Highness the Crown Prince, please be careful with your words before finding out the truth. Otherwise it would be bad if the Emperor heard about it." Wan Ziang looked at the Crown Prince with a sharp gaze. "Wan Ziang, are you threatening me?" The Crown Prince raged. "I'm just speaking the truth." Wan Ziang had never put the Crown Prince in his eyes before, and now he wouldn't be polite to him. "Wan Ziang, how dare you insult the imperial family? Do you really think that I don't dare to punish you?" The Crown Prince's face was red with anger. He was about to order the arrest of Wan Ziang, but was stopped by Li Zijuan. "Your Highness, please calm down. The most important thing now is to investigate the case of the evil cultivator." Li Zijuan's words were meant to smooth things over, but in the Crown Prince's ears, it was as if his face was nothing. Yi Jioga coldly added, "Big brother Wan, senior brother Li is right. The most important thing now is to investigate the evil cultivator. If a mad dog wants to bark, let it be." The Crown Prince's expression was frighteningly gloomy. He clenched his fists so tightly that his nails pierced into his flesh. When he sits on the throne, he will definitely make these damned fellows look good. Li Zijuan didn't notice the crown prince's abnormality. He helplessly said to Yi Jioga, "Miss Yi, since you've finished explaining, let's go." "Okay." Yi Jioga cooperated and left with Li Zijuan. Wan Ziang stood in place and silently watched Yi Jioga leave. He saw her slender figure surrounded by a group of soldiers. It was very eye-catching, revealing a feeling of desolation. Yi Jioga was so strong, nothing would happen to her. Wan Ziang took a deep breath and quickly calmed his mind. He took his people to the entrance of the cave. He looked through the pile of rocks, but unfortunately, he didn't find the purple scorpion that Yi Jioga mentioned. But this was also within his expectations, so he wasn't discouraged. He continued to look through the corpses in the cave. These spirit practitioners' corpses had all been dug out. But apart from Gong Hongyu, who had been skinned, the other corpses had all their cultivation blood sucked dry. Gong Hongyu's corpse was very fresh. The wall beside her had spots of bright red blood, as if it had been splashed not too long ago. These spots of blood were very orderly, and it seemed that the deceased didn't have any signs of struggle. Wan Ziang deduced that Gong Hongyu was very likely killed elsewhere, before being brought here to be skinned. As for the corpses that had their cultivation blood sucked dry, the stiffness of their muscles was different, and the time of death was also different. Wan Ziang carefully searched for a long time. Finally, he found a thin layer of red clay on the soles of these corpses. Gong Hongyu's soles also had it, which meant that they had been to the same place. As long as he found the source of this red clay, he would be able to find the place where they died. In order to confirm his guess, Wan Ziang decided to go out of the city and investigate. But before he left the city, he wrote all the information he found on a letter and gave it to Li Zijuan, asking him to pass it to Yi Jioga. At this time, Yi Jioga was locked up in the Jiudan Pavilion, at the very end of Alchemy City. Although the Crown Prince strongly requested that Yi Jioga be locked up in the prison, Li Zijuan, after consulting his master, placed Yi Jioga under house arrest in his master's private territory. The Crown Prince was very angry about this, and kept shouting that he would find Dongfang Yao to clarify things. Unfortunately, ever since Dongfang Yao drove the Crown Prince back to Shangjing in front of everyone, he had never seen him. Now, he used his old headache as an excuse to refuse to see anyone. The Crown Prince wanted to clear his name, but he didn't have the chance. He could only pester Li Zijuan every day, asking him to deal with Yi Jioga impartially as soon as possible. Li Zijuan was about to vomit blood from the Crown Prince's pestering. Recently, a series of bad events had happened in Alchemy City. Even the competition had to be suspended. Logically speaking, his master should have come out to take charge. But the old man despised his eldest disciple for only focusing on alchemy and turning himself stupid. He used the excuse that he needed to train Li Zijuan and pushed everything to him. Li Zijuan simply used a chicken feather as an arrow and used his master's mouth to forbid anyone from visiting Yi Jioga. Whether it was the Crown Prince Yi Shanshan Yi Rui or Wan Ziang, they all refused. Wan Ziang had to spend quite a bit of effort before Li Zijuan agreed to help him pass the letter. Chapter 161. When Wan Ziang's letter was delivered, Yi Jioga was staring at the purple mark on his hand. Zishang had been in a deep sleep ever since he ate the shape-shifting bead. He hadn't moved at all, so Yi Jioga didn't know when he would appear. Without a demon snake by his side to ridicule, these days were really unbearably lonely. Yi Jioga sighed, touched the smooth mark, and then began to read the letter sent by Wan Ziang. Just as Wan Ziang was about to leave the city to search for the red clay mark, a thunderous voice came from outside. "Yi Jioga, get out here." Yi Jioga was shocked, and the letter in his hand fell to the ground. Jiudan Pavilion was Dongfang Yao's private territory, and outsiders were forbidden from entering. Even the servants who delivered food were mute. Why did such a loud voice suddenly appear? Yi Jioga listened carefully, and realized that after the loud voice finished shouting, there was a loud voice. Li Zijuan's warning, and the Crown Prince's sowing discord sounded at the same time. "Brother Honglei, calm down. Before we find out the truth, we can't be sure that Yi Jioga is the murderer. Brother Honglei, you read 3rd Miss Gong's will. There's no one else besides Yi Jioga. Yi Jioga, get out here. The person's voice was even more violent, and he was getting closer and closer to Yi Jioga's house. Yi Jioga calmly put away Wan Xiang's letter, tidied up his appearance, and opened the door to take a look. There was a group of people standing at the end of the path. At the front was a violent-looking youth with a long sword on his back, and he was charging towards her aggressively. The crown prince was on his left, and he looked as if his plan had succeeded. Li Zijuan was on his right, and he was still trying to persuade the youth. Brother Honglei, calm down. The youth rushed in front of Yi Jioga like a whirlwind, and sized Yi Jioga up with his large eyes. He asked fiercely, "You're Hong Yu's murderer? Senior Li, who is he? Why is he slandering me?" The moment he rushed in, Yi Jioga glanced at the youth, and looked at Li Zijuan. "This is Gong Honglei, the emissary from the Spiritualist Alliance. He's also third Miss Gong's brother." Li Zijuan sighed, and looked at Yi Jioga with worry. Master's banner could stop the crown prince, but it couldn't stop the Alliance's emissary, who wanted to avenge his sister. "Humph," Yi Jioga snorted coldly. Her beautiful eyes flickered with a sharp light as she looked Gong Honglei up and down rudely and said disdainfully, "It seems that the emissary of the Spiritualist Alliance is only SSO. What do you mean?" Gong Honglei's eyes widened. He looked like he was going to draw his sword at any moment. "The Alliance sent you to investigate the evil cultivator murder, but you abused your power to punish me. Is this how the Spiritualist Alliance does things?" Yi Jioga's voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with pressure. It made Gong Honglei speechless. Seeing that the situation was bad, the crown prince immediately jumped out and said, "Yi Jioga, you killed someone else's little sister and still dare to say such words. You're going too far." The crown prince looked at Gong Honglei and said, "Brother Honglei, this is a crazy evil cultivator. You'd better kill her quickly to avenge your sister." "Dongfang Jiaming, you keep saying that I killed Gong Hongyu. Did you see me kill her with your own eyes? Or did you see me suck human blood to practice evil arts?" Yi Jioga interrupted the crown prince's words and shouted, "Don't use the suicide note to talk to that girl Hua Dai. The suicide note can be forged and Hua Dai can be bribed. Unless you can show other evidence, shut up." "Yi Jioga, this evidence is enough. It's useless for you to quibble. There's no one else but you," the crown prince insisted. "I haven't gone out since I came to Alchemy City from Shangjing. May I ask where I got the time to kidnap people and kill people?" Yi Jioga was not afraid of the crown prince at all. "You don't have time, but your accomplices do. Bai Songling has been loitering outside Alchemy City. Wan Xiang has also left the city. Maybe he's preparing to escape because his plan has been exposed." A cold light flashed in the crown prince's eyes. He wanted to catch Wan Xiang and Bai Songling in one fell swoop. "According to what you're saying, pharmacist Dongfang and senior brotherly placed me here are also evil cultivators?" Yi Jioga raised his eyebrows and looked at Gong Honglei. "The crown prince has been bewitched. Other than him, the others are evil cultivators. I advise you to find more people from the Alliance to catch them. You're twisting words and forcing logic." The crown prince raised his voice. Before Yi Jioga could reply, Gong Honglei had already shouted, "All of you shut up." He was dizzy from the noise. The thought of rushing in to kill Yi Jioga, to avenge his sister, had inexplicably disappeared. Gong Honglei was sent by the Alliance as an emissary. Naturally, he wasn't an incompetent person. It was just that he was too excited after seeing his sister's tragic death, that he was provoked by the crown prince. After calming down, he said to Li Zijuan in a serious tone, "No matter what, Yi Jioga is a suspect and should be locked up in prison. Isn't it against the rules to lock her up here? Yi Jioga might be a suspect, but she's also a contestant. Without concrete evidence, it's not good to lock her up in prison. In the end, she's still a weak girl." Li Zijuan really couldn't bear to lock the flower like Yi Jioga up in a cold and damp prison. So what if she's a girl? A suspect should be locked up in prison. Gong Honglei only had one thing to say. He didn't need to kill Yi Jioga right now, but he couldn't let a suspect lie comfortably in the courtyard. "Yi Jioga is a weak girl. Zijuan, you must be blind." The crown prince had been tricked by Yi Jioga so many times. He had never seen a woman more valiant than her. Emissary Gong is right. If that's the case, then lock me up in prison, Yi Zhuge calmly said. It didn't matter where she was locked up anyways. There was no need to make things difficult for Li Zijuan over such a small matter. Fine. Li Zijuan apologetically glanced at Yi Zhuge. In the end, under the supervision of Gong Honglei and the Crown Prince, Yi Zhuge was brought to Alchemy City's prison. There weren't many people in Alchemy City's prison. Most of them were thieves who stole medicinal plants, so the prison wasn't very gloomy. Li Zijuan had already ordered people to clean up the single cell. Not only was it covered in the best silk mattress, but there was even a bright pink plate of Yi Lai Xiang in the corner. Gong Honglei and the Crown Prince were a bit dissatisfied with the prison's environment, but they didn't make a fuss about it. They only said that they were worried about the prison's defenses. In order to prevent Yi Zhuge from escaping, they sent their own guards. Li Zijuan couldn't argue with them, so he could only agree in the end. Chapter 162. In the dead of night, the prison was pitch black. Only a few oil lamps covered in dust flickered dimly on the walls. Yi Zhuge was curled up in the small cell. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her long eyelashes hung down like a row of thick fans. Her breathing was very steady, as if she had already entered the land of dreams. The bright pink tuberose in the corner was quietly blooming, emitting a rich fragrance. The prison was quiet. The guards on duty were clearly separated from the people sent by the Crown Prince. They were leaning against the wall and napping. Suddenly, a light blue smoke floated in through the crack of the door and quickly spread in all directions. The guard who was napping went limp and fell to the ground. The others also fell to the ground like dumplings. The iron door of the prison creaked open. 5 black-clothed people nimbly entered the prison. After taking the key from the guard, they went straight to the small cell Yi Zhuge was in. Just as they were about to open the door of the small cell, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Who goes there? The leader of the black-clothed people took a step back and signaled for his subordinates to light a torch. A bright light sprang up, illuminating the entire small cell. They saw Yi Zhuge, who was supposed to be sleeping, standing in the corner. Dressed in green, she was slender and elegant. Her appearance was stunning and incomparably elegant. Her limpid eyes were so clear that it seemed as if she had never slept. Miss Yi, we were sent by Lord Wan and Lord Bai to save you. The Crown Prince wants to kill you. Please come with us, the leader of the black-clothed people said, as he tried to open the large lock of the cell. He didn't expect a purple light with lightning to fall on the large lock. If the black-clothed people hadn't withdrawn their hands quickly, they would have been struck by this lightning. Miss, what do you mean by this? The black-clothed people looked up at Yi Zhuge. Their low voice was filled with anxiety and disbelief. Yi Zhuge hid the purple light in her hands and said to the black-clothed people with a smile that wasn't a smile, Go back and tell Lord Wan and Lord Bai that I won't leave the prison before this matter is clearly investigated. You'll die if you don't leave. The black-clothed man spoke hurriedly, as if in the next moment, the Crown Prince would rush in and drag Yi Zhuge out for interrogation. Yi Zhuge said slowly, Dongfang Jianming doesn't dare to kill me because he wants to keep me as a shield, so that the real evil cultivator can kill more spiritualists to practice. So, you can go back without worry, and let Sir Wan and Sir Bai investigate the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, and the evil cultivator of the bloodthirsty sect. If Yi Zhuge really believed that this group of men in black was sent by Wan Xiang, then he would really be as stupid as Dongfang Jianming. The leader frowned when he heard Yi Zhuge's words, but he quickly recovered and said anxiously, Eldest lady, I don't know anything about the Crown Prince or the evil cultivator. I only know that Lord Wan and Lord Bai asked me to save you, so I have to take you away. Yi Zhuge's fingers caressed the pink petals of the fragrant night lily. Her face was even more beautiful than a blooming flower, but the words that came out of her cherry lips were extremely rude. What if I say no? Then I will have to offend you. The leader's eyes flashed with a cold light. He cut the iron chain with a knife, kicked the door open and rushed in. Yi Zhuge raised her finger slightly, and her fingertips lit up with purple spiritual power. She was about to flick out the lightning spiritual power, and the sleeping powder. Unexpectedly, the man in black at the back suddenly raised his knife and very neatly put down all his companions. Internal strife, interesting. Yi Jyoga held back her spiritual power, and her beautiful eyes fell on the man in black, wanting to see what he was doing. The man in black pulled off his mask, revealing a dark and handsome face with a bit of wild nature. A pair of eyes flashed with a sharp light like a wolf. It turned out to be the medicine tester who disappeared. "You are also the crown prince's man?" Yi Jyoga raised her eyebrows and said with a little admiration. "Then you are really ruthless." One had to know that the medicine tester's heart meridian was really broken, and he was seriously injured and could die at any moment. "No, I don't know any crown prince." The medicine tester's voice was a little hoarse, but it was surprisingly pleasant to hear. However, his accent was definitely not from the Thunder Country, but rather from the southern frontier. "Then why did you come find me? To repay a debt of gratitude?" If that was the case, then this guy was quite loyal. This group of men in black was definitely sent by the crown prince. To be able to sneak in meant that he had some skill. "No." The medicine tester shook his head honestly. This slap in the face was a little painful. Yi Jyoga was a little unhappy, and her expression slightly darkened. "If you are not here to repay a debt of gratitude, then let's calculate the medical fees. Grandmaster Dongfang's third-level heart-nourishing pill is worth 10,000 gold, and my medical fee is also 10,000 gold. Hand over the money." "I have no money." The medicine tester continued to shake his head. "Then what are you here for?" Yi Jyoga narrowed her eyes and looked at the medicine tester's strong body. If this guy dared to tease her, then she would make him pay with his body. "My master wants to discuss a business deal with you," the medicine tester solemnly said. "Who is your master?" Yi Jyoga couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. The current situation in Alchemy City was so chaotic, yet there were still people who didn't fear death and dared to come in. She really wanted to get to know them. "He said that you will understand once you see this." The medicine tester raised his hand and opened his palm. With a wave of his sleeve, a blood-red, winged poisonous earth dragon parasite with a mouthful of sharp teeth scuttled out. Its long body coiled in the medicine tester's palm, and its small eyes stared unkindly at Yi Jyoga. This poisonous earth dragon parasite seemed to be of a higher level than the one you had before. Not only was its body blood red, but even its eyes had grown out. Although those black beady eyes were small, they were incomparably fierce. One could imagine how ferocious it was. Yi Jyoga couldn't think of anyone else who could raise such a ferocious insect. "I thought he was an orphan." Yi Jyoga's words were both a sigh and a test. "I was separated from the young master when I escaped. I have been looking for him all these years." The medicine tester paused here before continuing. "Not only did you save me, but you also helped the young master greatly. Thus, the young master wants to discuss a business deal with you." The medicine tester's attitude was very serious. In his heart, the way to repay his benefactor was to bring her to his young master to discuss a business deal. If anyone else dared to use this method to repay a favor, Yi Jyoga would definitely teach them a lesson. But after seeing the little mute's unsociable nature, she decided to forgive this honest medicine tester. "If you want me to go with you, that's fine. But first you have to answer a few questions. Where did the two of you escape from? Who is chasing you? Why doesn't he speak? Also, where did he learn the art of insect refinement?" These questions had piled up in Yi Jyoga's heart for a long time. Now that he could say it all in one breath, it was indescribably refreshing. Chapter 163. Can we talk about this after we get out? The medicine tester asked sincerely. Sure. With these answers, Yi Jyoga decided to go with him. Although the crown prince would definitely blame the crime of absconding to avoid punishment on her, it did not matter. She couldn't catch Lu Yunfei by staying in this broken prison, so she might as well go out and talk to the little mute. Maybe she could get some unexpected clues. "What do you plan to do with these people?" The medicine tester kicked the man in black on the ground. "These people are just small fries, just throw them here." Yi Jyoga walked out of the small prison and asked the medicine tester, "I still don't know your name?" "Luotian." While talking to Yi Jyoga, Luo Tian didn't forget to observe the surroundings and quickly brought Yi Jioge out of the prison. The two of them walked along the dark walls to avoid the patrolling guards and finally left Alchemy City. Where are we going next? Yi Jioge looked at the gloomy mountain range. Alchemy City was located in front of two mountain peaks. No matter which direction they went, it was a deep forest. Follow me. Luo Tian walked towards the dense forest in the east. Yi Jioge followed closely behind him and asked in a casual manner, Luo Tian, how did you get into the group of men in black? These men in black were very experienced and seemed to be very experienced. It was impossible that they couldn't recognize their own people. It's a secret. Luo Tian obviously didn't want to answer this question. Then let's talk about the consultation fee. Yi Jioge revealed a hee-hee expression. He was too inexperienced to fight with her. Luo Tian's footsteps stiffened, but he quickly moved again. His hoarse voice revealed a trace of helplessness. I used my natal gu to control them to get in. Natal gu? Are you from the blood-clothed Miao tribe? Yi Jioge looked at Luo Tian in shock. Ever since she met the little mute, she had specially looked up information about raising gu. The best at raising gu was the blood-clothed Miao tribe in the southern border. When each blood-clothed Miao tribe member was born, their parents would choose suitable gu to help them raise. They would use their blood to raise it every day. When the child grew up, they would let them refine the gu into their natal gu. The stronger the natal gu, the stronger the ability of the gu breeder. Some of the more powerful blood-clothed Miao clansmen would even collect different gu worms to raise their natal gu. The natal gu and its master shared the same life. Some natal gu with strong vitality could even strengthen the master's life. Luo Tian nodded. He went around a bush and ran deeper into the forest. Yi Jioge turned around and continued to ask, Then why didn't I see your natal gu when I treated you? My vital gu exhausted all of its power to save me, so it went into hiding to recuperate. Although Luo Tian was reluctant, he still answered. After all, it was thanks to Yi Jioge that his vital gu could recover. So that's how it is. No wonder you were able to survive despite having your heart meridian severed. Yi Jioge didn't ask where Luo Tian's natal gu was hidden. For a gu breeder, the hiding place of the natal gu was his life gate. Asking about it was tantamount to hunting him down. Luo Tian was originally worried that Yi Jioge would continue to ask. Seeing that she had given up, he was relieved. He was not an ungrateful person. He had always remembered Yi Jioge's life-saving grace in his heart. However, to him now Little Mistress was the most important. No matter what kind of grudge or love, it had to be ranked behind Little Mistress. You blood-clothed Miao clansmen should be very powerful. How could you be hunted down like this? Didn't your clansmen avenge you? Yi Jioge asked curiously. One must know that the blood-clothed Miao clansmen had strange gu techniques. In addition, they had always been protective and vengeful. No one dared to provoke them. Luo Tian was silent for a long time. Then he said in a deep voice, My clansmen are all dead. Only Little Mistress and I escaped. Yi Jioge was shocked. She couldn't help but ask, Who could kill all of your clansmen? Before Luo Tian could answer, a sharp and ethereal child's voice filled with ruthlessness suddenly sounded in the dark forest. Luo Tian, don't tell her. Master. Luo Tian immediately stopped. Yi Jioge, on the other hand, raised his head and looked at a pine tree that was so thick that 3 people could wrap their arms around it. Although it was pitch black there, her intuition told her that Little Mute was there. Sure enough, in the next moment, a thin and small black figure floated down from the top of the tree like a falling leaf. It landed in front of Yi Jioge. Blue cotton clothes, dirty sleeves, messy hair, pale little face, big black eyes, and as usual terrifying as ever. So you can speak. Then why did you pretend to be mute? Even if he wanted to hide his identity, he didn't have to choose such a difficult method. Because humans are too stupid. A proud child's voice sounded. It was obviously Little Mute's reply to Yi Jioge's question. But Yi Jioge looked over. He found that Little Mute, who was supposed to speak, had his mouth tightly shut. His big black eyes were expressionless. That tender little voice sounded like it came from a ghost. To be honest, in this dark forest filled with shadows of trees, this scene was indescribably strange. Those who were timid would die. Little Master's throat can't make sounds. He can only speak through his natal goo. Luo Tian explained. You should feel honored to be able to hear my voice. Such an arrogant voice, coupled with Little Mute's expressionless face, was indescribably strange. Sure enough, Little Mute was right not to speak. Yi Juga couldn't help but complain. Little Master, this is not the place to talk. Why don't we change places? Luo Tian sincerely suggested. Although they didn't speak loudly, the forest was too quiet. If someone was eavesdropping, it would be hard for them to find out. Okay, follow me. Little Mute turned around and leaped a few times. He brought Yi Juga to a remote small cave. There were burnt ashes and leftover beast bones in the depths of the cave. It seemed to be Little Mute's temporary residence. After Yi Juga stood still, he directly asked, Luo Tian said you have a deal to discuss with me? That's right. The proud child's voice sounded again. I will help you deal with the people from Bloodthirsty Sect. 1 life in exchange for 100 bottles of spirit beast pills. That's a good plan of yours. Yi Juga raised his eyebrows and smiled. Bloodthirsty Sect is also your enemy. You're taking revenge for yourself. And you want to settle the score with me? Do you really think I'm a fool? How do you know Bloodthirsty Sect is our enemy? The proud child's voice was both surprised and angry. Then he roared at Luo Tian irritably. You told her? I didn't, Luo Tian said helplessly. She tricked you. That's right, Yi Juga was tricking him. Chapter 164. You dare lie to me? Little Mute was still expressionless, but his arrogant voice was about to explode. I didn't lie to you. Strictly speaking, you're the one who lied to me. Yi Juga looked at Little Mute with an accusatory gaze, and said without any trace of politeness, I provided you with a place to eat and work. I also used spirit beast pills to exchange for insects. And I even saved the life of your subordinates. Yet you schemed to cheat me of my spirit beast pills. Who is the one who is sorry? Yi Juga's words were the truth. Even Luo Tian felt guilty after hearing it. Not to mention Little Mute. No matter how unreasonable he was, he had to admit that Yi Juga was right. If Yi Juga hadn't let him raise a poison earth dragon, and traded spirit beast pills for insect parasites, his life parasite probably wouldn't have awakened yet, let alone come to Alchemy City. Yi Juga saw that Little Mute had loosened up, so he slowly said, Little Mute, since we have a common enemy, then we can be friends. How about we be honest with each other and speak frankly? If you want spirit beast pills in the future, I can give you a friendship price. Spirit beast pills weren't hard to refine, but they couldn't be given away for free. Little Mute's indifferent face finally showed some emotion. His arrogant voice was no longer as arrogant as before. He asked, How do you want to be honest? First tell me your name. Yi Juga felt that exchanging names was the first step of friendship. Little Mute hesitated before reluctantly saying, My name is Juni-chen. Such a refined name didn't match with Little Mute. No wonder he didn't want to call it that. Do you have an opinion on my name? Juni-chen immediately sensed something was wrong and felt like he was about to explode. No, not at all. Yi Juga shook her head and decisively changed the topic. I was thinking, you red-clothed meow people are so powerful. Why were you killed by Bloodthirsty Sect? Juni-chen kept a straight face and didn't make a sound. His black eyes were like 2 black holes, emitting a ruthless and dark aura. It was clear that this memory was very painful to him. So painful that he could go berserk at any time. Yi Juga suddenly regretted bringing up Juni-chen's sad memories. She was about to change the topic when Juni-chen said coldly, Luo Tian speak. Yes, Luo Tian answered and then said, The bloodthirsty ancestor of the Bloodthirsty Sect is a sinister and cunning man. We don't know where he got a kind of spiritual poison that can restrain our goo technique. He poisoned our drinking water when we were worshipping the goo god, and killed us when we lost our power. Although Luo Tian's words were very simple, the stench of blood contained within still assaulted Yi Juga. However, what Yi Juga could not figure out was, why would the people from the Bloodthirsty Sect attack the Bloodcloak Meow tribe? The bloodthirsty sect used blood as their cultivation method. The blood-clothed Miao clansmen used their own bodies to raise goo. Their blood was not pure. They should not have become their target. Luo Tian hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still revealed the secret of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. So it turned out that their blood-clothed Miao people branch was split off from the southern border. They found a small spirit vein in a mountain peak and set up camp there to cultivate and spread their roots. After more than 100 years of operation, the blood-clothed Miao tribe cultivated the Spider King from the demonic beast Snow Spider. Every generation's leader would sign a contract with the Spider King, asking for its protection. Junichen was the son of the previous generation's leader, and was also the most talented genius in raising goo in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. At such a young age, he had already cultivated his natal goo to the 5th level. The blood-clothed Miao tribe had high hopes for him, hoping that he could truly subdue the Spider King. Originally, Junichen and the Spider King had already cultivated a good relationship and had started to slowly feed it with blood. Just as he was about to sign a contract with the Spider King, he did not expect an unexpected disaster to befall him. The bloodthirsty ancestor brought his subordinates to attack their camp, and not only did they forcibly occupy the spirit vein, they even imprisoned the Spider King. I see. Yi Jioge was curious before. Where did the Empress get the king poison of the snow spider to harm Dongfang, Quebec? One must know that the Snow Spider King lived in the wasteland continent at the eastern border. That was the territory of the demon race, and spiritualists entering there were simply courting death. Now she finally knew that it was from the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Alright, I have answered your question honestly. How do you intend to give me the friendship price for the spirit beast pill? Junichen's arrogant voice hid a trace of impatience. Tell me first, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jioge looked like she was willing to negotiate. I can help you refine goo. Junichen's voice was arrogant and confident. This place is not Miaojiang. Yi Jioge expressed that there was no market for goo refinement in a spiritualist's territory. I can help you kill people. Junichen's voice started to show some hesitation. The people I want to kill are no longer in this world. Yi Jioge expressed that he had a hand and a knife. He did not need anyone else. What do you want? The little tsundere finally exploded. I just want to ask, what can you use to buy my spirit beast pill? Yi Jioge spread his hands, looking innocent. Just as Junichen was about to pounce on Yi Jioge and bite her to death, Luo Tian spoke. Miss Yi, when I escaped with the little master, we had nothing except ourselves. Then sell yourselves to me. This was Yi Jioge's goal, but he could not say it so bluntly, in case they turned hostile. Thus, Yi Jioge changed his method and asked, Then what do you plan to do? Luo Tian pondered for a moment, then said cautiously, It's true that the bloodthirsty sect is our enemy, but they are now dealing with you and your companions. I believe that no one understands the methods of the bloodthirsty sect better than us. If you need our help, I am willing to work for you for a year, as long as you give me a bottle of spirit beast pill. I remember that you still owe me the consultation fee, right? It was not that Yi Jioge did not want to let go of this debt of gratitude, but the blood-clothed Miaojiang tribe was famous for being a weirdo. It was said that after they repaid the debt of gratitude, they would turn hostile and take revenge. Just like goo, they would bite back. Yi Jioge did not want to use the secret method given by Zishang to subdue Junichen as a big goo, so he could only make an issue of the debt of gratitude. He would let them work for a few years, and when he became stronger, it would not matter if they bite back. When Luo Tian heard the two words consultation fee, he fell silent. That's right, his life was saved by Yi Jioge, and now asking her to use spirit beast pills to hire him was indeed contradictory. You saved him, so his life is yours from now on. Junichen was a person who was clear about his likes and dislikes, selling out his only remaining subordinate with one sentence. Chapter 165. Master. Luo Tian thought he was abandoned. His face immediately turned pale. She treats her subordinates well. You go and work for her. Let her use spirit beast pills as a reward. Then bring it back to me. Junichen said as a matter of course. During this period of time, he was not only rearing worms, he was also secretly observing Yi Joga's character. Ever since Yi Joga used spirit beast pills to help Yi buy worm goo, he knew that Yi Joga was a good person, very generous to his own people. Yes, Luo Tian heard that his little master did not abandon him, but only wanted him to work for others to earn spirit beast pills. He immediately nodded. Little Tsundere, is it really good for you to send your subordinates to my place? Yi Joga really wanted to complain. After Junichen sold his subordinates, he continued to sell himself. As for me, a bottle of spirit beast pills to help you kill one person. This is already my bottom line. I will not work for you. He was the most orthodox bloodline of the blood cloak Miao people, shouldering the hopes of all the clansmen. It was impossible for him to be someone else's subordinate. I said, I don't need you to help me kill. Yi Joga shook his head. Junichen's big black eyes immediately flashed a ruthless light. He hated to be rejected, not to mention that Yi Joga rejected him again and again. Fortunately, when Junichen was about to turn hostile, Yi Joga added, how about this? You help me do one thing. I will give you a bottle of spirit beast pills. How about that? Junichen silently counted with his fingers. Feeling that this deal was reasonable, he nodded. All right, tell me, what do you want me to do? I haven't thought about it yet. I will give you a bottle as a deposit first. Yi Joga took out a bottle of spirit beast pills and threw it to Junichen. Junichen immediately took it, opened it and smelled it. It was indeed a good medicine. Luo Tian, from now on, you are my subordinate, is that right? Yi Joga turned his head and asked Luo Tian. Yes, just tell me what you need, master. Luo Tian placed his right hand in front of his chest and bowed slightly. His attitude was still very serious. Yi Joga glanced at Junichen. Junichen was expressionless, silently counting his fingers in his heart, calculating how to eat these spirit beast pills. He did not have any objection to Luo Tian calling Yi Joga master. This attitude wasn't normal. Yi Joga thought for a moment, then asked Luo Tian, the natal goo in your body, does it have to obey Junichen? Yes. The natal goo in the young master's body is the most powerful one in the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Everyone has to listen to him. Luo Tian did not hide anything. F***ck. Yi Joga wanted to vomit blood. Luo Tian said that he would sell his life for him. But in the end, his life was in someone else's hands. What kind of logic was this? However, what displeased her the most was the way Luo Tian addressed him. He called her master and Junichen young master. Those who didn't know better would think that Junichen was her son. Call me young miss from now on. Yi Joga decided to keep his distance from Junichen. All right. This was not a problem for Luo Tian. Yi Joga composed himself and asked another question. Why does your master care so much about spirit beast pills? In fact, she already had a guess in her heart, but she still wanted to clarify it. Because the spirit beast pill you refined has a great effect on repairing our life insect. Luo Tian replied seriously. Originally, his vital goo had already entered a state of suspended animation, and could only recover by devouring other goo worms. But there was no one refining goo in Thunder Country. At that time, he thought that he was dead for sure. But who would have thought that he would meet Yi Joga? And even his human goo was saved by her. Alright, take this bottle, treat it as this month's monthly allowance. Yi Joga also threw a bottle of spirit beast pills to Luo Tian. She was quite satisfied with Luo Tian's attitude. Although this lad looked like an unruly barbarian, his temper was quite good, especially when compared to Junichen. Yi Joga had always been a generous person. Before she rode a horse, she would first feed the horse grass. Many thanks. Luo Tian received the spirit beast pills and was about to keep them, but was stopped by Yi Joga. I gave you the spirit beast pills to help you recover your strength quickly, so that you can work for me, not to let you earn it for free. That's right, cast a long line to catch a big fish. Junichen expressed his approval, then ordered Luo Tian. Eat. Little master, you can't speak the truth so carelessly. Luo Tian felt like crying. When they broke through the encirclement, the old clan leader was right to tell little master to shut up and pretend to be mute. Seeing Yi Joga's face darken, Luo Tian immediately made up his mind. For the little master's sake, he had to gain a foothold with Yi Jioga. In this case, he had to recover his strength quickly. Otherwise, forget about helping, he might even have to ask Yi Jioga to save him instead. Luo Tian quickly swallowed the spirit beast pills, then said to Yi Jioga, "Eldest miss, if I'm not wrong, the bloodthirsty ancestor sent his disciple to Alchemy City to kill people, not just to take the spirit roots of those martial practitioners. He must have a bigger goal." That's right, the blood fury skill he cultivates is about to level up. The blood and spirit roots of those martial practitioners are not enough for him. Junichen's voice was cold, his dark eyes incomparably cold. Blood fury skill? What the hell is that? Yi Jioga's heart skipped a beat when she heard this name, and she hurriedly asked. Junichen kept a straight face and did not answer. Luo Tian took the initiative to explain. The blood fury skill is the bloodthirsty ancestor's personal skill. Every time he levels up, he needs not only a large amount of blood, but also someone with a similar cultivation level as him to act as a primer. The last time the bloodthirsty ancestor ascended, he used the blood of their old clan leader. However, there was one thing that even the bloodthirsty ancestor hadn't thought of. The old clan leader's blood had a relationship with his successor, Junichen. After the bloodthirsty ancestor absorbed the old clan leader's blood to level up, Junichen learned many of his secret skills. That bloodthirsty ancestor doesn't just have a strong cultivation level, he also has a secret skill, which is to use his own blood essence to cultivate a kind of blood bead. Every one of his direct disciples has this blood bead. As long as they take it at a critical moment, they can borrow the bloodthirsty ancestor's cultivation level to explode with shocking potential. At the time, some of our clansmen who weren't poisoned fought against them, and they all died under this move. A pained expression flashed across Luo Tian's face. He had participated in that battle as well. That opponent had clearly looked weak, but after he had been knocked down, his cultivation level had suddenly skyrocketed, and he had even ambushed him when he wasn't paying attention. Yi Jioga's heart immediately jumped. If that was the case, then Bai Songling, Wan Ziang, and Yi Yu were all in danger. Come, let's go find Wan Ziang and the others first, Yi Jioga said without hesitation. They knew too little about the bloodthirsty sect, and their previous preparations were far from enough. They had to revise their plans. Chapter 166. It was a moonlit night, but the forest was still dark. Yi Jioga was drawing circles on the ground, thinking about a very important problem. Though she shouted to meet up with Wan Ziang, Bai Songling, and Yi Yu, they weren't in Alchemy City. She couldn't find them. But it wasn't like she couldn't find them. Wan Ziang's letter said that there was red clay on the souls of the dead martial artists. She should be able to find them if she followed this clue. Unfortunately, it was a waste of time. Luo Tian stood to the side, silently guarding Yi Jioga like a statue. On the fifth sigh, she couldn't help but ask, "Eldest miss, I heard that you have a brother called Yi Yu, who also has a poisonous earth dragon parasite cultivated by Master?" "Yes." Yi Jioga nodded. "Why? Your parasites can communicate with each other?" If that was the case, it would save her a lot of effort. "I can give it a try," Luo Tian said cautiously. "Then hurry up and try." Yi Jioga stood up and urged Luo Tian. Luo Tian opened his palm, and the red poisonous earth dragon goo ran out of his sleeve, and obediently lay on his palm. Luo Tian closed his eyes and mumbled something, but no sound came out. The red poison earth dragon parasite's two small eyes were rolling around, and its body was also moving around Luo Tian's palm. It looked like it was looking for Yi Yu's direction. "Little Junjun, when did you raise this parasite?" Yi Jioga felt that this poisonous earth dragon was not bad. It was stronger than Yi Yu's. If he could get a few for Wan Ziang and the others, he wouldn't have to worry about losing contact. "Don't call me Little Junjun." Junichen was expressionless, but his voice was filled with anger. Junichen is too hard to pronounce. Plus, even the first name makes us seem like strangers. Yi Jioga giggled, not afraid of Junichen's anger at all. To be honest, Junichen's expressionless and angry look was quite cute after a while. Then call me little mute. Junichin held back his anger. For the sake of the spirit beast pill, he endured it. But you're not mute. Yi Jioga continued to tease Junichin. Damn woman, how dare you tease me? Junichin was about to explode. Fortunately, Luo Tian finally opened his eyes and said in a deep voice, Big miss, Lil Red has found Yi Yu's location. He's not in a good condition, so we should hurry over. Little Red was the poisonous earth dragon goo in his possession. Let's go. Yi Jioga couldn't be bothered to tease Junichin anymore. Luo Tian immediately ordered Lil Red, go. The red poisonous earth dragon goo spread its cicada's thin wings and flew toward the east. Yi Jioga and the others quickly followed behind it. Dawnfall Peak. In a dilapidated temple that had not been repaired for a long time, the statue of the Earth Lord that was worshipped was already incomparably modeled. The corners of the roof were covered with cobwebs, and there was a thick layer of dust on the ground. Sunlight shone through the hole in the roof, illuminating a small part of the floor in the middle, but the surroundings were still very dark. Yi Yu held his breath and hid in the shadows on top of the roof beam. He still had 2 clear heart pills in his mouth. These were the last of his stock. Ever since he found out that Yi Jioga had been framed by the crown prince, he desperately searched for Lu Yunfei, wanting to capture her and bring her to justice to clear eldest Miss's name. With great difficulty, he finally reached the vicinity of this dilapidated temple. But he didn't expect to fall into Lu Yunfei's trap and be hit by a sneak attack from behind. At the last moment, Yi Yu snuck into the shadows and silently waited for an opportunity to escape. Little Yi Yu, be good and open the door. Quickly open it, big sister wants to come in. Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice resounded from outside the dilapidated temple. Then there was a loud bang. The wooden door of the dilapidated temple flew up and crashed to the ground, raising a large amount of dust. Lu Yunfei was still dressed in a pink dress, and the hem of the dress was embroidered with colorful butterflies, which danced along with her movements. She slowly walked into the dilapidated temple, her nimble and light footsteps resembling that of a nimble butterfly. That pair of eyes that flashed with a faint red light swept across the dilapidated temple, and she laughed to herself. Little Yi Yu, quickly come out. Big sister will make you very happy. Her words were filled with the feeling of spring, and the whole dilapidated temple was filled with an atmosphere that made people's hearts beat faster. Yi Yu stood in the shadows, and he only felt that Lu Yunfei's sickeningly sweet voice was like a white feather, tickling him from the bottom of his feet all the way to the tip of his heart, and it was unbearably itchy. Especially when Lu Yunfei's sneak attack just now, he could not help but feel a burning sensation on his back. The boiling heat spread from his back to his abdomen, and it was unbearably hot. Yi was very clear that he had been drugged by Lu Yunfei. Unfortunately, his poisonous earth dragon parasite had been injured by Lu Yunfei, and there was no way for her to detoxify it for him. He could only rely on the tranquil heart pill in his mouth to resist this unbearable lust. Lu Yunfei strolled around the dilapidated temple, but she didn't hear Yi Yu's voice. She felt some admiration for Yi Yu in her heart, because she couldn't lure him out even after using her charm technique. He was indeed worthy of being the man that she left for last. Not to mention other things, this degree of tranquil heart pill was definitely comparable to Lu Xiaohui. Since she couldn't lure this little guy out with her carnal desire, she would use another method. Lu Yunfei's eyes turned, and she took out a piece of white skin from her storage pouch. After shaking it open, it turned out to be the appearance of a woman. It was a complete piece of human skin. Little Yi Yu, this is the skin that I just peeled off from a beauty last night. Do you like it? However, this skin looks very smooth, but it doesn't feel very good to the touch. When it comes to the skin of a beauty, it's still the most beautiful blood slave by the old ancestor's side. Her skin is snow white, and there is a red mole between her eyebrows. She looks quite similar to you, so she should be that unlucky sister of yours that Su Junqing sent away. The old ancestor has already promised me that after I complete this mission, he will give me that blood slave. When the time comes, I will peel off her skin and give it to you, okay? The more Lu Yunfei spoke, the more excited she became. Her eyes had already turned scarlet red, and her skin had also become flushed. She panted tenderly as she said, "When I think about peeling off your sister's skin, I'm so excited, so happy, so happy. Little Yiyu, do you really want to watch your sister die?" From the moment Lu Yunfei mentioned his sister, Yiyu's nerves had already collapsed into a straight line. Hatred, worry, anger, fear, and other emotions were constantly rolling in his heart, ready to erupt at any time. The tranquil heart pill that was originally in his mouth was accidentally swallowed into his stomach. After the extreme coolness came the extreme fanaticism. Yi secretly felt that things were not good. Just as he was about to leave the dilapidated temple, he heard Lu Yunfei's devil-like voice coming from behind him. "I caught my little bunny." Chapter 167. At this time, Yi Jiuge was rushing towards the broken temple with Luo Tian and Junichen. Luo Tian followed behind her and spoke while running. "Young miss, didn't you ask the young master when he raised this insect? As far as I know, he raised a batch before coming to Alchemy City, and this is the best one. I refined it with my essence blood. Luo Tian, do you want to die?" Junichen's arrogant voice came down from the tree. He disdained running on the ground with Yi Jiuge and the others, but insisted on jumping on the tree, probably because he felt that it was more cool. "Little master, there are some things that can't be hidden from Big Mississippi." Luo Tian's obscure voice traveled through the whistling wind into Junichen's ears. "We can't hide it from her, so we naturally have to tell her the truth. This will deepen eldest Miss's impression of us." "Humph." Junichen stepped on a branch unhappily, accepting Luo Tian's explanation. Yi Jiuge was already used to them playing tricks in front of him. She turned around a big tree and continued to ask Luo Tian, "This poisonous earth dragon became like this after you refined it with your blood essence? Or are all the ones he raised like this?" "No, these poisonous earth dragon parasites will display different characteristics depending on the person's blood essence. My parasite has opened its eyes. Aside from detoxification, it can also be used for searching. Yiyu's parasite should be as good at hiding as its master." As Luo Tian ran, he carefully introduced his young master's batch of poisonous earth dragon parasites. It had to be said that Junichen had already raised the poison earth dragons to a new level. This new batch of poison earth dragon goo would automatically choose a master that was more compatible with their attributes, and the evolved skills would also be more comprehensive. For example, Luo Tian was one of the 2 surviving members of the blood-clothed Miao tribe. Needless to say, he was strong. The poisonous earth dragon goo that he had refined, Xiaohong, not only had eyes and long thorns, it could attack and defend. It also had a very strong offensive ability. "Young miss, do you want to raise one as well? With your strength, you will definitely be able to cultivate an even more powerful insect." Luo Tian quickened his steps and ran to Yi Jiuge's side, looking at her sincerely. His expression seemed to be saying, "I'm not promoting goo worms but loyalty. If you buy it, yours truly can give you a discount." Junichen floated down from the tree and landed beside Yi Jiuge, looking as if he was bestowing a reward. Although the little Tsundra's expression was a little annoying, Yi Jiuge was really tempted by those goo worms. She thought for a moment and said, "Let me see it first." Junichen rolled up his sleeves, revealing his white and dry little arm, on which there were 13 black dots. He said, "These are all insects that haven't hatched yet. As long as you reveal a drop of blood essence, the insects will automatically choose you." Yi Jiuge pricked his finger, and a drop of blood floated in front of her. The black dots on Junichen's hand all swelled up, fighting to be the first to pounce on Yi Jiuge's drop of blood essence. Even Junichen was shocked by their craziness. In fact, the natal goo in his body was desperately sending him a message. This drop of blood is also very beneficial to him. Hurry up and give it to him. Junichen and his natal goo were one and the same. Its desire was his desire. He immediately used his power to suppress the rampaging goo insects, then reached out to snatch the drop of blood essence from Yi Jiuge. He didn't expect a black and fat figure to be faster than him. With a swoosh, it swallowed the drop of blood essence, then landed on Yi Jiuge's shoulder. It was a fat black rat. It had a fat head and big ears, with a round belly. Its little paw grabbed Yi-Joga's hair and shouted in dissatisfaction, "Pippi! Black fatty, why did you come out?" Yi-Joga was also shocked by this scene. Only now did she remember Zishang's warning to her. Every drop of blood in her body belonged to him. If she dared to let others use it carelessly, he would use a big stick to punish her. Was it too late to destroy the rat now? "You dare to steal this young master's thing?" Junichen's big black eyes stared at the black fat rat. The goo worms on his hand all went berserk, looking like they wanted to rush up and swallow the black fat rat clean. The black fat rat looked at the little worms with contempt, completely disregarding Junichen. It took out a carrot that was even longer than him from its beast skin bag, and squatted on Yi-Joga's shoulder as it chewed on it with relish. "If you want to fight, then fight later. Don't delay me from saving people." Yi-Joga didn't even turn his head as he grabbed the black fat rat and stuffed it back into his cloth bag. Junichen lost his target and looked angrily at Yi-Joga, shouting, "Return the blood essence to me. Return your grandpa, that belongs to me." Yi-Joga said in a bad mood. He couldn't tolerate this bad temper of stealing things. "You!" Junichen was about to flip out, but was held down by Luo Tian. "Little master, earning spirit beast pills is more important." Junichen clenched his teeth, silently remembering this grudge. Yi-Joga couldn't be bothered with little Ao Jiao's thoughts, and said to Luo Tian, "Hurry up, I want to find Yi-Yu in an incense's time." After Luo Tian appeased the little master, he drove Xiao Hong with all his might, and quickly brought Yi-Joga to the broken temple. "Yi should be inside. I can feel that his poisonous earth dragon goo is injured," Luo Tian said softly. Yi-Joga opened his spirit eye to carefully inspect the situation of the broken temple. He saw a red circle of light surrounding the broken temple, mixed with the thick smell of blood, and there were even many strange red shadows hiding in the surroundings. It was obvious that this broken temple was one of Lu Yunfei's traps. She wanted to use Yi-Yu to lure the others over. "Young miss, do we attack?" Luo Tian rubbed his fists, wanting to show off. "Do you have the confidence to deal with the people from Bloodthirsty sect?" Yi-Joga asked. It wasn't that she looked down on Luo Tian and Junichen. It was that the two of them were crippled and small. They were really unreliable. "You still have the nerve to ask this kind of nonsense." Junichen was still holding a grudge against Yi-Joga for not giving him the blood essence. "So you have already found a way to deal with Bloodthirsty sect?" Yi-Joga raised his eyebrows and asked. "Of course." Junichen nodded his head proudly, and habitually wanted to use spirit beast pills to exchange for an answer. Luo Tian answered first. "Little master has already thought of a way to deal with Bloodthirsty sect. Speaking of which, I have to thank you for this method." After he finished speaking, he looked at Yi-Joga gratefully. Yi-Joga was stunned, thought for a moment, and then probed. "Could it be that your method to deal with Bloodthirsty sect is to rely on the poisonous earth dragon goo?" "Young miss is indeed intelligent." Luo Tian nodded his head in gratification, looking like he didn't follow the wrong person. He couldn't tell that this guy was quite good at flattering people. However, flattery was useless. Yi-Joga still had to ask clearly what he needed to ask. Chapter 168. How can you be so sure that the poison earth dragon goo can deal with the bloodthirsty sex people? "I don't want guesses. I just want evidence," Yi-Joga said bluntly. "TSK. Of course yours truly has verified it." Junichen replied proudly. That year, when Forefather Bloodthirsty attacked the bloodthirsty Miao tribe's territory, as the successor of the patriarch, Forefather Bloodthirsty Miao tribe had to kill him. Although the old patriarch risked his life to save him, he was also poisoned by the poison that could restrain the goo. In the beginning, he was tortured by the poison every day. It was only when he accidentally discovered that devouring the poison earth dragon could alleviate the poison that he felt much better. However, there weren't many poisonous earthworms in the wild, and searching for them was a waste of time. So he turned his attention to the cultivation base of the pharmacy. He seized the opportunity and used goo to control an old man in a pharmacy. Finally, he successfully sneaked into the poisonous earth dragon's manor. Because the earth poisonous dragon only had a lifespan of 15 days. The people in the villa didn't care too much about the daily consumption. He finally settled down and quietly detoxified the poison. Later, Yi-Joga spent money and effort to ask him to help cultivate the advanced version of the poisonous earth dragon, and even used spirit beast pills to pay him, which allowed him to successfully cultivate batch after batch of insects. Very good, I'll take all of them. Yi-Joga waved his hand. If these goo worms could really neutralize the bloodthirsty sex poison, then he wouldn't have to worry about them trying to kill him again. In any case, she didn't have much, but she had a lot of elixirs. I don't want the spirit beast pill. As long as you give me a drop of your blood essence, I'll give all of these goo insects to you. Junichen couldn't help but swallow his saliva when he thought of Yi-Joga's delicious blood essence. Hehe, my blood essence is very precious. Even if you use your natal goo to exchange for it, you won't be able to buy it. Just exchange it for a spirit beast pill. Yi-Joga wished he could dig out the drop of blood essence in the belly of the fat black rat. How could he sell a second drop? If you don't give me the essence blood, yours truly will not sell it. Junichen threatened angrily. Up to you. Yi-Joga shrugged and spread his hands. She had 100 ways to deal with people from bloodthirsty sect. However, Junichen could only eat the spirit beast pills he refined himself. Let's see who can last longer. Young master. Luo Tian pressed down on Junichen's shoulder again. Now that they had a favor to ask, they would only suffer losses if they were too arrogant. How could Junichen not understand this logic? Even if he hated being suppressed by Yi-Joga, he could only helplessly accept his fate. Alright, the old price, 1 bottle of spirit beast pills for 1. Sure, but I don't have that many spirit beast pills on hand right now. We'll make the deal after we return to Thunder Country, Yi-Joga said. He planned to give each of them a spare pair when they returned. Junichen was very confident in Yi-Joga's character. Alright, now let's talk about how to go in and save Yi-Yu. After Yi-Joga had settled Junichen, he began to discuss serious matters. Of course we're going to kill our way in. Junichen's eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the dilapidated temple. He decided to start with Lu Yunfei and start his path of revenge against the bloodthirsty sect. No. Yi-Joga shook his head. Yi was in Lu Yunfei's hands. If she were to use him as a hostage, it would be very difficult for them to rescue him. It was better to think of a foolproof method, while Lu Yunfei did not know their background. For example, luring the tiger away from the mountain, creating a diversion. Whatever you say, miss, we'll do it. Luo Tian took the opportunity to express his loyalty. Yi-Joga had just thought of an idea, so he said, then you guys just do as I say. No problem. Luo Tian nodded calmly. No problem. Junichen expressed that as long as he took action, there would be no mistakes. Alright, let's go. Yi-Joga nodded and led Luo Tian and Junichen towards the dilapidated temple. Inside the dilapidated temple, light and shadow intertwined. Yi-Yu's major acupuncture points were sealed by Lu Yunfei, and he was laid flat on the white human skin. TSK. I didn't know that you could run so well. Lu Yunfei was not in a hurry to enjoy her feast. Instead, she touched Yi-Yu's smooth and white skin with interest. Her tone was full of pity. It's been a long time since I've met such a beautiful man. I really can't bear to do it. What do you want? Yi-Yu's entire body could not move. His eyes shot out a ray of hatred as he stared fiercely at Lu Yunfei. Hehe, a man and a woman alone in a room. What do you think I want? Lu Yunfei's small hand was placed on Yi-Yu's strong chest. She gently kneaded his firm chest muscles, trying to ignite his fire. You shameless slut. Yi-Yu had always felt that men who scolded women were not good people. However, when faced with a sinister and cunning snake like Lu Yunfei, he had no choice but to scold her. Is that all you can say? Lu Yunfei smiled coquettishly. Yi-Yu's scolding was simply not painful to her. In fact, it was filled with interest. Slut. Yi-Yu clenched his teeth. He wanted to scold her until she was bleeding. Unfortunately, he was not good at scolding people. His mouth kept repeating these words. And I like it. Louder. The more Lu Yunfei listened, the more excited she became. She could not wait to tear Yi Yu's shirt into pieces. Then she reached out to pull his belt. Get lost. Don't touch me. Yi Yu really did not want to act like an ignorant girl who was being molested by a pervert. However, when he thought about losing his virginity to Lu Yunfei, this slut, he felt that he might as well die. Moreover, he wanted to have his blood, cultivation and vitality sucked dry. He felt that he might as well die. Not only will sister touch, sister will also eat. Lu Yunfei pulled out Yi Yu's belt. She laughed like a hen that was about to lay eggs. Just as Yi Yu was about to be stripped naked by Lu Yunfei, a red shadow as thick as a thumb silently rushed down from the roof. It rushed towards Lu Yunfei's neck. Lu Yunfei's hand was still on Yi Yu's chest. However, the clothes behind her moved. A purple scorpion drilled into her neck. Its stinger moved and fiercely whipped the red shadow. The red shadow craftily turned around and spat out a sticky red liquid at the purple scorpion. The purple scorpion could not dodge in time. It was covered by the red liquid and could not move. The red shadow flapped its wings and quickly dragged the scorpion away. The entire process was very fast. It only took a few breaths. By the time Lu Yunfei reacted, she discovered that her treasure-seeking scorpion had been stolen. She had obtained that treasure-seeking scorpion by chance. She had spent countless years to raise it to rank 3. It was the time to use it. She had obtained a lot of benefits from the treasure-seeking scorpion. How could she be willing to let it be stolen like this? Lu Yunfei did not care about enjoying her feast. Her figure moved and chased after the scorpion. In the blink of an eye, only Yi Yu was left in the broken temple. Yi Yu condensed all the spiritual energy in his body. He wanted to break through the sealed acupuncture points. Unfortunately, Lu Yunfei's technique was very strange. He was unable to condense his spiritual energy. Seeing that Lu Yunfei was about to return at any moment, he was so anxious that a thin layer of cold sweat appeared on his body. He almost went berserk. Chapter 169. Just as Yi Yu was about to open his acupuncture point, a few inaudible footsteps came from outside the dilapidated temple. He thought it was Lu Yunfei who came back, and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He didn't expect a familiar figure to walk in. Her green clothes fluttered in the wind. Her figure was graceful. Her face was delicate, and there was a faint fragrance on her body. It was Yi Jioga. Yi Yu, are you okay? Yi Jioga was shocked when she saw Yi Yu's clothes were messy, revealing half of his smooth chest, and even his belt was taken off. She didn't come late, and caused Yi Yu to sleep with Lu Yunfei, right? I'm fine. Yi Yu's sorry state was seen by Yi Jioga, and he wanted to hide in a hole and never come out. Yi Jioga originally wanted to help Yi Yu open his acupuncture point. Seeing that he was not intimate, she was too embarrassed to make a move. She turned around and shouted, Luo Tian, come in for a moment. Luo Tian quickly came in and saw Yi Yu's miserable appearance. He thought that Yi Yu had been done with by Lu Yunfei. He was very sympathetic and reached out to help him open his acupuncture point. Yi Yu regained his mobility and quickly tidied up his clothes. However, his injuries were a little heavy and his movements were a little slow. It was Luo Tian who helped him. Trash! A proud and disdainful voice came from the roof. Little mute. Yi Yu looked up and for a moment, he wasn't sure if it was him who was scolding him. You have this young master's poisonous earth dragon goo, and you can move stealthily, but you were still plotted against by that woman. You're really trash. Junichen continued to complain expressionlessly. Yi Yu didn't defend himself in the face of Junichen's scolding and said in shame, I was careless. I didn't expect Lu Yunfei to have other helpers. Eat these pills first, then tell me what other helpers she has. Yi Jioga saw that Yi Yu's body was emitting a strong smell of aphrodisiac. She poured out 2 clear heart pills and 1 fire pill for Yi Yu. Yi Yu ate the pill, and the dark fire on his body immediately retreated. Then he told the story of how he was plotted against. After he discovered Lu Yunfei's whereabouts yesterday, he stealthily followed her and found out that Lu Yunfei had kidnapped a level 2 alchemist from the alchemy competition. He wanted to save this tier 2 alchemist and let her accuse Lu Yunfei and Su Junqing. so that he could clear Yi Joga's name. He did not expect that the Tier 2 alchemist was actually a fake, and had backstabbed him instead. When he was escaping, he was hit on the back by Lu Yunfei's palm, so he fled here. Who was that evil cultivator, who pretended to be a level 2 alchemist? Yi Joga asked with a frown. Previously, during the alchemy competition, she had carefully observed the few level 2 pill refiners, and did not find any traces of heretic cultivators. It's a middle-aged woman with high cheekbones, a mean face and fine wrinkles at the corners of her mouth. Her name is Guangxi. Yi carefully described the woman's characteristics. I recognize that woman. Yi Joga had an impression of her. After the alchemy competition, that woman had stayed in the alchemy tower, and hadn't appeared since. I recognize it too, Luo Tian said. At that time, he was the one who tested the medicine on the stage, so he secretly noted down all the Tier 2 pill refiners. That middle-aged woman was quite conspicuous, so it shouldn't be that easy to disguise. That evil cultivator is very powerful. The evil aura on her body was completely concealed, and there was no trace of her disguise at all. Yi Yu repeatedly emphasized. Even you were fooled. It seems that evil cultivator is very good at disguising. If she wants to cause any damage, then it will be troublesome. Yi Joga faintly felt uneasy. Yi Yu had always been good at disguising, and the evil cultivator, who could fool him, was definitely not simple. Young miss, why don't we leave this place first? My Xiaohong can't hold on much longer, Luo Tian said with a frown. That purple scorpion had a connection with Lu Yunfei, so he couldn't get rid of Xiaohong no matter what. You take Yi Yu and leave first. I will meet that Lu Yunfei, Yi Joga said in a deep voice. She had been tracking down the bloodthirsty sect's evil cultivators for so long, but she had only interacted with Su Junqing. Other than the bewitching art, she didn't know what other tricks the bloodthirsty sect had. She could take this opportunity to meet Lu Yunfei, and find out more about the bloodthirsty sect's background. Young miss, Lu Yunfei has many tricks up her sleeves, but her schemes are not strong. You must be careful, Yi Yu said worriedly. I am here, what are you afraid of? Junichen said arrogantly. 4-1, we can give it a try. Luo Tian nodded. Although he and his young master had not fully recovered their powers, it was not a problem to test out that woman's methods. No need, Luo Tian, you take Yi Yu and leave. Little Mute will wait for me in the dark. It would be best if we can take her down, but we can't retreat at any time. Yi Joga only wanted to test Lu Yunfei's tricks. There was no need to leave so many people. Yes, Luo Tian was very confident in Yi Joga and the young master. Without saying anything else, he carried Yi Yu, who could not move freely, and turned to leave. Little Mute, summon Xiaohong here, Yi Joga ordered. Junichen's life goo could control all the goo raised by the blood cloak Miao people, and Luo Tian's Xiaohong was no exception. Junichen's expression was solemn. His mouth did not move, but his body made a strange trembling sound. Not long after, Xiaohong flew in like lightning, and landed in front of Junichen. It looked very pathetic. The blood-red color of its body had faded a lot, and its spread wings could not stop trembling. That was a sign of overexertion. It was also dragging a palm-sized purple scorpion. Although it was frozen by the red liquid, it still looked like it was struggling to get out. Yi Joga immediately recognized that this unlucky scorpion was the one that lured him to the chaotic world. When the unlucky scorpion saw Yi Joga struggling even more, it seemed to know that it was going to be in big trouble. Give me that purple scorpion. Yi Joga stretched out his hand towards Junichen. A spirit beast pill. Junichen raised his index finger, and added expressionlessly, to reward Xiaohong. Cheapskate, take it. Yi Joga was already speechless at Junichen's action of wanting to take the prize from him. After Junichen fed the spirit beast pill to Xiaohong, he took down the purple scorpion, and threw it to Yi Joga. After Yi Joga wrapped the scorpion with his spiritual energy, he carefully examined it. This scorpion was palm-sized. Its purple carapace looked like it was forged from metal, and it shone with a faint cold light. But the strangest thing was that there was a red eye on its stinger, which was faintly discernible under the sunlight. So it's a treasure-seeking scorpion. Yi Joga had heard of this kind of strange beast. Not only was it very sensitive to treasures like Een spirits, but after advancing, it could also eliminate demons and devour ghosts. It was a very angry demonic beast. No wonder Lu Yunfei would rather give up on Yi Yu and chase after him. Chapter 170. That evil cultivator has caught up. Junichen said softly. Yi Joga looked towards the entrance of the broken temple, only to see a light breeze blowing, the leaves falling silently, but a murderous aura assaulted his face. Stick to the plan. Yi Joga stuffed the treasure-seeking scorpion into his cloth bag, then raised his hand and condensed a purple lightning. Junichen's figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. Just as he disappeared, Lu Yunfei rushed back to the broken temple like lightning, and was met with the purple lightning released by Yi Joga. When she came back, she was already prepared to be ambushed. She raised her hand and released a blood mist to deflect Yi Joga's lightning, then struck towards Yi Joga's chest. Yi Joga mobilized all the spiritual power in his body, and raised his hand to meet her palm. The purple and red light fiercely collided, causing red and purple light to burst out. Lu Yunfei somersaulted and landed beside the broken temple door. Yi Joga stood in place without moving. On the surface, Yi Joga had the upper hand, but in fact she was at a disadvantage. Lu Yunfei's palm wind was very insidious. If it wasn't for her lightning spiritual power, having the ability to ward off evil, she would have really been hit. You are Yi Joga? Lu Yunfei stood at the side of the door and sized up Yi Joga with her big watery eyes. She exclaimed in admiration, "You do have some good looks. You are barely qualified to be my ancestor's blood slave." You are Lu Yunfei? Yi Joga squinted his eyes and looked at Lu Yunfei with contempt, then said with disdain, "You look so vulgar. No wonder you have to use underhanded methods to force yourself on a man. Little girl, you better control your mouth, or else you won't even know how you die." Lu Yunfei's face darkened. Although she had heard countless insults, she still had to admit that Yi Joga's mouth was a bit too vicious. "Can't help it, this mouth of mine can't be controlled when I see an ugly woman." Yi Joga pretended to be distressed. She was originally extremely beautiful, and after obtaining the white bone flame, she had an otherworldly aura. That appearance of using her beauty to commit murder could definitely drive a woman crazy. Although Lu Yunfei wanted to skin Yi Joga, she was, after all, still someone who had seen the world. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked the two most important questions. "Where are my Yi Yu and treasure-seeking scorpion?" "It's already mine." Yi Joga smiled proudly, his arrogance exploding. "Courting death." An ominous glint flashed past Lu Yunfei's eyes. She had dominated the bloodthirsty sect for so many years, but she had never been humiliated like this. "You're the one courting death." Yi Joga's right hand formed a 5-thunder chant, and the purple lightning struck towards Lu Yunfei again. Lu Yunfei took out a small and exquisite blood-colored bell from her storage bag and gently shook it. A strange sound was transmitted over. When Yi Joga heard this voice, the blood in his body surged crazily, as though he wanted to break through the shackles and rush towards Lu Yunfei. Yi Joga was shocked. She quickly took out a clear heart pill and swallowed it. The cold feeling made her shiver. "To be able to withstand my blood bell sound, you are indeed not simple." Lu Yunfei raised her hand and shook the blood-colored bell twice. This time, the bell's sound was even clearer, like a heavy hammer falling on Yi Joga's head. The blood in her body surged even more violently, like a herd of wild horses that had lost control, about to rush out of her pores. Yi Joga did not try to suppress the surging blood. Instead, he followed this feeling and shot out a thumb-thick bolt of purple lightning. Lu Yunfei did not expect that Yi Joga would still have a chance to fight back under the control of her blood bell sound. She stopped underestimating him, raised her hand, and shot out a bloody light. After breaking through Yi Joga's lightning, the blood-colored bell in her hand shook even more violently. Yi Joga covered his ears and retreated 3 feet. He was about to pull out the Thunder Snake illusionary whip from his waist. However, Lu Yunfei suddenly opened her mouth and spat out a ball of thick bloody light. It turned into a blood-colored arrow, and with a rotten stench, it shot towards Yi Joga's chest. Yi Joga was not far from her. Caught off guard, he could only take this attack head-on. At this crucial moment, Lil Red, who was lying on Junichen's body, rushed out. The red light on its body exploded, and it turned into a fist-sized shadow. It opened its mouth and swallowed the blood-colored arrow. Retreat! Yi Joga took the opportunity to retreat, broke through the window, and left the ruined temple. When Lu Yunfei heard the order to retreat, she thought that there was still an ambush in the ruined temple, so she stopped and searched carefully. When she rushed out of the ruined temple, she had already lost sight of Yi Joga. Damned bitch! Wait until I send you back to Bloodthirsty sect. I will definitely let the ancestor refine you into a blood slave to feed the Spider King. Lu Yunfei gritted her teeth and cursed. After Yi Joga left the ruined temple, he quickly arrived at the place where he had agreed to meet Junichen. Junichen was already waiting there. Is Lil Red alright? Yi Joga asked. If Lil Red had not rushed out to help her take the hit, she would have suffered a huge loss. I'm fine. Junichen opened his palm. He saw that Lil Red's abdomen was as big as a ball, and its body was so red that it was about to drip blood. It was curled up and motionless. It has a baby? Yi Joga asked hesitantly. He felt that Lil Red could give birth to a bunch of little goo at any time. Squeak squeak. Lil Red roared angrily. Yi Joga inexplicably felt that she understood what Lil Red meant. She raised her head and asked Junichen, "Is it saying that I am male?" "I don't know, but it is indeed male." Junichen shook his head. He could only give orders to goo worms unilaterally, and could not understand what they were saying. Then why is its stomach so big? Yi Joga was slightly worried. Although Lil Red was only a goo worm, if it died to save her, she would also feel guilty. It must have eaten too much. The blood arrow that Lu Yunfei shot out just now was extremely poisonous. If you were hit by it, you would have turned into a puddle of blood on the spot. Junichen understood that arrow very well. Many of his clansmen had died under that move in the past. Squeak squeak. Lil Red cried out again. Although it looked like it was going to explode at any time, it was still in good spirits. Lil Red saved you. Don't you have anything to say? Junichen looked at Yi Joga expressionlessly and asked for repayment with a serious face. There are only 2 left, take it. Yi Joga sensibly took out the spirit beast pill. Although she had ways to neutralize the blood arrow, even if Lil Red didn't come out, she couldn't let Lil Red down. Goo worms also had insect rights. Junichen took the spirit beast pill and stuffed it into Lil Red's mouth. After Lil Red swallowed it, although its stomach seemed even bigger, it began to hum with a satisfied expression. Shut up. Junichen reprimanded with a dark expression. He didn't want Yi Joga to know that Lil Red swallowed the blood arrow not to save her, but because it was useful for Lil Red's evolution. After Lil Red finished absorbing the blood arrow and the spirit beast pill, it would be able to advance to the next level. Yi Joga actually noticed a little, but Lil Red was her own worm. She was happy to see it evolve, so she didn't expose Junichen's intentions. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.